when I arrived at the hospital for a vasectomy. I happened to discover the school's Belle going for an ultrasound. Seeing her ultrasound results, it clearly stated she was 8 weeks pregnant. As a result, before the Belle could even process it, I panicked first, because 8 weeks ago, after getting drunk, I accidentally took the Belle's virginity. But the other party didn't say a word, just leaned against the wall and ran away. I wanted to take responsibility, but had no opportunity. Now I stand right in front of her, but she completely fails to recognize my presence. I only did it once and I'm already pregnant? Hearing that, I hesitantly asked, "This baby is mine, right?" Havudong was startled when she saw my face clearly. A feeling of self-pity immediately rushed back, and tears began to well up. Seeing that scene, I panicked instantly. "Hey, don't cry! If you do that, everyone will think I'm bullying you. You did bully me already. What? Do you not want to take responsibility?" Hearing that, I froze. I'm about to become a father? And it was a one-hit wonder too. Congratulations to the host for activating the God-tier nursing dad system. There is no need for further doubt. The child before you is your masterpiece. Furthermore, it is a pair of dragon phoenix twins, rewarding the host with a starting capital of 100,000 RMB for child rearing. As the strange sound ended, I opened my phone to check. This account, Lai Te, had received 100,000 RMB. Following that, the world's most complete knowledge of pregnancy suddenly rushed into my brain, and an invisible source of power also flooded into my body. It seems to be real, but I'm still a bit incredulous, my eyebrows furrowed tightly. Havudong, seeing me silent for a long while, thought I didn't believe her. Then she choked out, "Do you not believe the baby is yours? If you don't believe it, we can go for a DNA test." Hearing Havudong's hiccups, I snapped out of it and pulled a pack of tissues from my pocket to give to her. "Hey, don't cry anymore. I believe you. A gentleman is responsible for his actions. I will definitely take responsibility until the end. The system already said it's my flesh and blood, and even predicted dragon phoenix twins. I naturally believe it, absolutely." Then I looked at Havudong, who was looking weak and lovely, and said affectionately, "Vudong, I will take responsibility. Do you agree to give birth to the baby?" After hearing this, Havudong clasped her hands together, smoothed her silky hair, and whispered, "How do you plan to take responsibility? We haven't graduated yet, we don't have jobs, and we don't have a stable source of income. Wife, don't worry, I've saved up a sum now. In the future, I will work hard to earn more money to give you and the child a happy home." My tone was extremely firm, fearing Havudong would refuse. After hearing me talk so much, Havudong suddenly giggled. "You said it, okay? Then I will give birth to the child." Although Havudong's mouth expressed some self-pity, her heart was already as joyful as a festival. Actually, she had liked me since her freshman year. Not only am I handsome, but my abilities are also outstanding. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let her roommate drag her out to drink for the first time, getting so drunk she collapsed into my arms. Afterward, I took Havudong to lunch. After eating, I took her all the way back to the front of her dormitory. "Today was hard for you. Go inside and rest. Tomorrow, I'll take you back to the hospital for a general checkup." Havudong immediately agreed, her face flashing a look of joy. I smiled along, humming a song as I walked back to my room. In the afternoon, I finished a project I had accepted earlier to hand it over. Adding the 100,000 RMB the system gave me before, my secret fund now has more than 200,000 RMB. I have to find a time to go out and rent a house. Vudong is pregnant. Staying in the dorm all the time isn't convenient at all. Detected that the host needs to take the babies for a general checkup. To facilitate travel, rewarding the host with a full option Xiaomi SU7. Damn, a Xiaomi SU7? This system is too freaking high-end. Waking up the next morning, I found a car key on the table. Without thinking much, I grabbed it and rushed straight to the school parking lot. Upon arriving, a twilight purple Xiaomi SU7 immediately caught my eye. Then I excitedly sat in the driver's seat and drove straight to the front of Havudong's dormitory, then took out my phone to call. "Vudong, are you awake? I'm downstairs waiting for you. Let's go to the hospital for the prenatal checkup later." "Okay. Wait for me for about 10 minutes so I can prepare a bit." Havudong felt warmed. She saw that I cared deeply. Both she and the baby in her womb felt very happy. Not long after, Havudong came trotting down from the dorm. Seeing that, I hurried forward to hold her. "Wife, be careful not to fall." Hearing that, Havu Dong's small face flushed red again. For a moment, I looked at her in a daze, my eyes glued to her. You are really beautiful today. You certainly have a silver tongue. Let's go. Then I hugged Havu Dong, opened the car door, and invited, Wife, please get in the car. My constant teasing made Havu Dong's face turn bright red instantly. Who is your wife? After getting in the car, Havu Dong couldn't help but ask, Did you just buy this car? That's right. Vu Dong, I assume you have a driver's license, right? Yes, I do. Then in the future, you should drive this car. It'll make traveling convenient for both you and the baby. No, it's not necessary. I'm not very skilled at driving. Why don't you just drive? There are still other cars. Let's just decide that. At that time, I will teach you how to drive. I didn't let her refuse and settled it directly. At the hospital, I accompanied Havu Dong as she began her prenatal exam. A while later, the test results were in. The fetuses were developing completely normally. Just as the two of us were about to leave, a figure suddenly appeared in front of us. Brother Bach, why are you here? Chu Tone is my roommate. He also went for a checkup today. I didn't expect us to run into each other. Seeing this, I pulled Chu Tone to a corner and whispered a sentence to him. Hello, sister-in-law. Seeing Havu Dong's face flush red, I was about to tease her more when the system notification rang in my head again. Detected the host taking the babies for their first prenatal checkup. Rewarding a beautiful apartment in Kim Lon-pu, detected the host giving the Xiaomi SU7 to Havu Dong, rewarding the host with a Maybach. This system is truly the peak. Right now, I am extremely excited. A Maybach S680 is over 3 million yuan, and a beautiful apartment in Kim Lon-fu is over 5 million yuan. My net worth is almost touching 10 million RMB. It turns out, as long as I treat Vu Dong and the children well, the system will treat me generously. Thinking of this, the love I have for Havu Dong deepened by another degree. Then I reached out, gently grabbed her fair hand, and looked at her tenderly. Vu Dong, let's go. Then the two of us drove the Xiaomi SU7 back. However, the destination wasn't Van Hai University, but a high-end residential area near the school. Havu Dong looked at the high-rise building in front of her, stunned for a moment. Where is this? Are we not going back to school? This isn't school. It's Kim Lon-fu, our future nest. Future? You even bought a house here? That's right. You're pregnant. Staying in the dorm forever definitely won't work. So I bought a unit so it's convenient for me to take care of you every day. But that must have cost a lot of money. Where did you get so much money? I naturally couldn't say the system gave it to me, so I made up a random excuse to cover it up. So later on, let's find a time to move in here. So, is that living together? Isn't that too fast? After living together, will County Bach show his true colors? Havu Dong thought. But what County Bach just said wasn't unreasonable. One can't stay in the dorm forever. Wife, what are you thinking so deeply about? Who is your wife? Not yet, okay? As the wife, go easy. I know my mistake, wifey. I won't dare do it again next time. Let's go see the house. HMPH! Havu Dong pouted slightly and finally let it go, but she kept feeling like something was slightly off. Very quickly, we reached the penthouse. This is a high-end apartment with a usable area of up to 200 square meters, decorated in a modern minimalist style with 5 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. The furniture was also fully equipped. Havu Dong stepped out onto the spacious balcony. The June breeze gently brushed against the young girl's face, making the scene incredibly warm and romantic. Seeing that, I finally couldn't help but step forward, spreading my arms and gently taking Havu Dong into my embrace. Havu Dong was startled, but she didn't resist at all. Havu Dong's exquisite face flushed red once again. She softly asked, This house must have cost a lot of money, right? Yeah, over 5 million RMB. I hugged Havu Dong, inhaling her light fragrance. Havu Dong gradually buried her head in my chest. Hubby, thank you for agreeing to let me have the baby. Thank you for giving me a home. I will do my best to protect this family. I looked at Havu Dong, whose eyes were tearing up, and slowly lowered my head, gradually approaching those seductive cherry lips. Havu Dong was momentarily flustered, her hand lightly gripping her phone. Havu Dong immediately regained her composure and gently pushed me away. It turned out her mother was calling. Hello? Dong Dong? What have you been busy with lately? Oh, nothing, Mom. I'm just out taking care of some things. Is someone bullying you? No, Mom, how could that be? Seeing Havudong's frantic look, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. While on the phone, Havudong glared at me, then reached out her elegant hand and aimed straight for my waist, pinched me. Quote, "Dong Dong, do you have a boyfriend?" "No, I don't." "You're in university now. It's time to fall in love, my child. Dong Dong, if you have time, bring him back here so I can see him." "Yes, okay. All right then, Mom won't bother you two anymore." As soon as Mother Ha hung up, Havudong threw me a look like a bullet. "It's all your fault." My mom found out. She would have known sooner or later anyway. I'm mentally prepared to have my legs broken by my mother-in-law. Then will you come back with me next week? Havudong's two hands were tightly intertwined. I definitely have to go back. Kidnapping someone's precious daughter like this, I naturally have to go in person to explain things. Tomorrow, let's prepare to move over here. Havudong gave a sweet smile. Yeah. Afterward, the two of us prepared to go to lunch. Then I pulled out a car key, unlocked the S680, and started the car. "This plane turns out to be yours?" Havudong's mouth hung open slightly, her large almond eyes blinking. I sat in the driver's seat and drove straight toward the shopping mall. Because Havudong loves eating fish, we walked into a grilled fish shop in the mall together. After finishing lunch, Havudong began to get so sleepy, her eyes were closing. I drove her back to the school dormitory and then returned to the doghouse I had been attached to for over 3 years of university. As soon as I walked in the door, I saw my generals staring at me like tigers stalking prey. Seeing Chutoan pretending to be angry upon knowing I had snatched the bell, he pointed his finger at me. I immediately understood the issue. "Brothers, tonight is on me. We'll go out and have a grand feast, then hit the net cafe to blow off some steam. Just take it slow, don't spread the rumors yet, okay?" So I led my foster fathers downstairs to the dorm, telling them to stand still and wait. For a moment, they were still wondering where I had run off to. A few minutes later, a luxurious Maybach slowly approached the car window, lowering it to reveal a very handsome face. "Damn, you are my true foster father. Dad, when did you earn enough money to buy a car? Let your children ride along." So I made up a random excuse, saying that for the Belle to nurture the pregnancy, the family specifically bought this car. Those guys were impressed for a moment and then fell silent. Early the next morning, I slowly drove toward the female dormitory. I had an appointment with Havudong. Today we would move to Kimlonfu. When I almost reached the dorm building, I saw a familiar figure from afar. Wait, that's not right. Why is there another girl next to Havudong? In that girl's sharp gaze, it seemed full of hostility. Then I opened the car door and walked up to Havudong, saying, "I told you to wait for me to arrive before calling you down. Have you been waiting long?" "Oh right, we just got down, it's no big deal. This is my roommate, Luvu Han." She insisted on coming along. Originally, I planned to give a polite greeting, but the girl immediately cross-examined me aggressively. "Are you the one who snatched my Dong Dong away?" "That's right. In the future, just leave Dong Dong for me to take care of." "In your dreams, if you want Dong Dong, you'll have to go over my dead body." Luvu Han said this, and then pulled Dong Dong's suitcase, walking straight toward the car. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, holding Havudong's hand as I followed behind. In a flash, we reached Kimlonfu. After parking and moving all the luggage into the house, the system notified, "Congratulations to the host for moving house. For the first time for the babies, rewarding 5-star chef skills, full collection, please check." Immediately, all kinds of cooking knowledge in the world poured into my mind. Then I looked tenderly at Havudong, who was a bit awkward. "Wife, what do you want to eat for lunch? I'll go buy groceries." "I can eat anything. I'll like whatever you cook." Hearing that I would personally go into the kitchen for her, Vudong's face flashed a look of joy. "I want sweet and sour ribs, spicy poached fillets, potato stewed with beef brisket, and braised fish too." She certainly ordered fast, but luckily I am now a 5-star chef. Just as I was about to go out, a small figure suddenly fell into my arms, accompanied by a faint scent. "Hubby, come back early, okay?" "All right, dear wife." Then Havudong released her hands, blushed, and vanished into the room, leaving Luvu Han standing there eating dog food. While I was out, Luvu Han seemed to have sniffed out something. She began to interrogate Havudong intensely to force the truth out. How could the pure and dignified Belle, before even dating, already be pregnant? A long while later, I returned carrying big and small bags of groceries. As soon as I entered, Havudong paced toward me, intending to reach out and help with the bags. Let me handle it. No need to trouble my wife. Then I reached out and lightly pinched Havudong's cheek. Quote, what were you two just gossiping about that made your faces so red? Havudong pouted slightly. I'm not telling you. I couldn't do anything about her. So I went into the kitchen and began cooking. The system's reward was indeed different. These hands seemed to have natural reflexes. Oh my god. The table was laid out with dishes that made one crave them just by looking. Lu Wuhan tasted a piece of beef brisket and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Ah, this is so delicious. It's exactly the standard of a 5-star chef. Dong dong, you'll be the happiest from now on, always having a great chef by your side. Havudong also didn't expect me to cook so well. Her face overflowing with happiness. Congratulations to the host for completing a sumptuous meal for your wife and children, rewarding 3 million RMB in cash. Damn, this system is as dominant as ever, rewarding 3 million RMB as soon as it acts. After finishing lunch, I considered myself to have passed Lu Wuhan's test. But to create a good impression, I still decided to personally drive her back to school. On the way back, through Lu Wuhan's stories, I understood Havudong's family situation better. It turned out her father had died early in a traffic accident, and their family situation wasn't very well off. It was just the mother and daughter leaning on each other. Therefore, she was the whole world to her mother. After understanding everything, I silently made a resolution. I must do my absolute best to take good care of Dong Dong and not let her suffer even a little bit of hardship anymore. After safely returning Lu Wuhan to school, I immediately went back to Kim Lon Fu. Entering the house, I saw Havudong asleep on the sofa. At this time, Havudong had changed into a white nightgown, revealing long, seductive legs that were extremely eye-catching. So I crept closer to the sofa, knelt down, and intently gazed at the beauty in her deep slumber. Thinking of Havudong's difficult childhood and the hardships of the two of them, my heart suddenly felt an endless ache. I will become a good husband, Wudong. Havudong seemed to hear something, and shifted slightly, making a tiny sound. Then I gently carried Havudong horizontally, and slowly walked toward the master bedroom. When Havudong woke up, it was about 5 p.m. Pregnant women really are very sleepy. She looked around once and didn't see my figure, so she crept to my room. Seeing me working at the computer, she suddenly poked her head out from behind, giving me a start. Then Havudong spread her arms to act spoiled. Hubby! Daddy! Hearing that, I gently pulled Havudong into my arms. Her body gave off a very special pure scent, not at all heavy, but lingering and gentle like the quiet atmosphere in a valley. Without knowing when, I had softly closed my eyes, my lips gradually approaching a sweet, soft place, and then began to get lost in that kiss. Hubby, this is so annoying. Havudong pushed away slightly, but I held her tight. Having no choice, she had to go along with me. After a passionate and sweet afternoon, in the evening, I decided to take Havudong shopping for some essential items for the future. As soon as we entered the shopping mall, I held Havudong's hand and walked on. Soon we reached a shop specializing in maternity clothes. Havudong was bewildered, not understanding why we were buying these things. I teased her. I'm just afraid your little white rabbits won't have a place to stay later. Noticing my gaze fixed greedily on her chest, Havudong finally understood the issue, her face turning as red as a ripe jackfruit, and then she aimed straight for my stomach and gave me a painful pinch. Wife, I'm just worried it will affect the quality of the milk later. After 3 months of pregnancy, your chest will start to get bigger. HMPH, stop being so silver-tongued. Havudong's face turned even redder. Although the pregnancy knowledge I just popularized was completely accurate, coming out of my mouth, it sounded a bit distorted. How do you know everything? She was a bit curious, not knowing why I understood so much. Though her hand was still pinching my waist, in her heart she felt very happy. Hearing that, I smiled and said, Wife, for you and the children, I've prepared my lessons very well. You have to reward me properly. Havudong happily blinked her beautiful eyes and let out a soft sound. Lower your head. I have something to tell you. What is it that's so careful? Then I obediently lowered myself. while she stood on her tiptoes and gave me a snap, leaving a kiss mark on my cheek. After feeling that unexpected warmth, I was about to counterattack, but Ha Vu-dong had already quickly backed away, kept her distance and ran off pitter-patter, stepped quickly toward the store, still not satisfied. A faint smile appeared on my face, starting to imagine the sweet life after the children are born. Ha Vu-dong chose a few maternity outfits and went into the dressing room to try them on. As for me, I glanced across the street at a jewelry store, estimated the time, and quickly ran inside. As soon as I entered, a beautiful female staff member approached to assist. Before she could even say welcome, I directly asked, "Hello, may I ask if you have any diamond ring models to suggest?" The employee was taken aback for a moment. Seeing that I was a student, she introduced me to ring models with slightly lower grades. After listening, I smiled and shook my head. "Hello, please take a model with a higher grade. The budget is around 500,000. A bit higher was also fine. 500,000, her monthly salary, was only a few thousand targets. Comparisons really only add to one's frustration. Very quickly, under the introduction of the staff, I chose a diamond ring that looked great, exactly 500,000. After finishing the payment, I immediately returned to the maternity store, pretending as if nothing had happened. Ha Vu-dong also happened to step out of the fitting room, spinning once in place. "County Bach, is this beautiful?" Hearing that, I said to myself, "Isn't this a point-scoring question?" Then I praised her with a satisfied face. "Very beautiful. My wife looks beautiful and everything." HMPH. Saying that is like saying nothing. Ha Vu-dong was speechless, but in her heart she was very happy. She gazed in the mirror for a while, seeing that it looked good, so she bought it. After buying the clothes, the two of us drove back to Kim Lon-fu. Arriving home, it was already 10 p.m. Ha Vu-dong was exhausted and sleepy, yawning while saying, "Then I'm going back to the room to shower and sleep. Good night." Seeing that, I was a bit unwilling, actively leaning in as gently as possible to ask, "Is there a good night kiss, wife?" "No, there isn't. Today's kisses were enough." Ha Vu-dong's face turned bright red instantly, quickly turning around to run back to her room. "Then there will be one tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's business is for tomorrow to decide." Ha Vu-dong went to her room and gently closed the door. Along with the sound of the door closing, the system's sound also rang out at the right time. Congratulations to the host for successfully being by Ha Vu-dong's side while shopping for maternity clothes. The reward is a luxury store at Kim Lon Square. Regarding this matter, I was already too used to it. I no longer exclaimed, "No way!" like before, but in my heart there was still a bit of excitement. The luxury stores at Kim Lon Square are at the cheapest, worth 8 million RMB. For the next 2 days, we didn't go to school, just enjoying the sweet world of two people. Vu-dong lay leisurely on a beanbag chair, watching the shimmering lake surface while being fed by me. Tonight, the sky suddenly thundered and lightened. A bolt of lightning tore through the sky. Ha Vu-dong, who was sleeping soundly, was startled awake by the loud thunder. Shivering and curling her body, so scared that her face was as pale as sand without a drop of blood. Since childhood, Ha Vu-dong had been afraid of thunder and lightning. Now being pregnant, the feeling of fear was even more magnified. The feeling of anxiety just kept growing. On the other side, I was preparing to have a good sleep when suddenly, the phone rang. "Who is it? It's the middle of the night and they're still sending messages." I reluctantly opened the phone to look. It turned out to be a special message alert from Ha Vu-dong. "County Buck, can you come over here for a moment?" After Ha Vu-dong sent the message, she continued to curl up. If it were before, she would only need to grit her teeth to endure it. But now it's different. Now there is a husband. Naturally, one can rely on him at any time. Seeing this message, I immediately became energized. Sleepiness vanished completely, so I trotted to the front of Ha Vu-dong's room door, tapped lightly out of habit, then pushed the door open and stepped in. "Wife, I'm coming in, okay?" Hearing my voice, Ha Vu-dong quickly jumped off the bed and threw herself into my arms, hugging my neck tightly. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were afraid of thunder." Looking at Ha Vu-dong, shivering in my arms, I felt a bit of heartache and at the same time a bit awkward. "Then let's lie down together, shall we?" The words had just finished when her face flushed a light pink. Is there such a good thing? So I said nothing, and carried Ha Vu-dong back to the bed, then I also lay down. Then I took Havudong tenderly into my arms, holding her tightly so she would have enough of a sense of security. Following that, the temperature on her face kept rising. Havudong was shy now. It's not the first time I've hugged you to sleep, so why be so shy? What are you doing? Wasn't the last time the time we got pregnant? You jerk, County Bach, at a time like this and you still dare to tease me. Early the next morning, a phone ring rang beside Havudong's ear. In a daze, she picked up the phone and pressed the answer button. Havudong's voice whispered into the phone. On the other end, Mother Ko's face showed clear shock. She was stunned. Mother County asked, urgently, "What is the meaning of this?" I called my son. Why is it a woman's voice? Who are you? And where is my son, County Bach? County Bach is sleeping next to me. After saying that, Havudong tossed the phone next to my ear and then continued. I was sleeping soundly, because yesterday I was exhausted by Havudong. I was now sleeping like the dead, completely unaware of the noise outside. Waking up, it was already noon. I slowly opened my eyes, finally coming back to life. Looking at Havudong, hugging me tightly. Those seductive, cherry lips really made me want to take a bite. The more I looked, the more fascinated I became. Just as I was hesitating and about to kiss her, only a few centimeters away, Havudong slowly opened her eyes. Seeing my lips were close, she immediately became alert and let out a small sound. Quote, "What do you want to do?" Seeing that, I felt guilty and said, "I just wanted to look very closely at your beautiful eyebrows." Havudong looked at my mischievous eyes, then looked down at her collar. Her small face flushed red instantly. Then she quickly backed away, hiding her head under the blanket shyly, not daring to show her face. As for me, I let out a wicked smile. "Wife, even your scolding is too gentle. I really want to handle it right here." While I was dreaming of murky scenes, a phone ring rang. It was Mother County calling once again. I didn't think much and pressed the answer button. "Hello, Mom. What's the matter that you're calling so early? You brat, speak up! Where did you go last night?" I was at the dorm. Hearing that, Mother County questioned angrily. "Just now when I called," a girl answered. "Could it be that you broke into the girls' dormitory?" I was bewildered, then hurriedly opened the phone to look, seeing several missed calls from Mom, of which the first one had been connected. I looked at the phone, then looked at Havudong, who was sleeping soundly. Lowering my voice to say, "Mom, I'll explain to you later," then hung up immediately. On the other end, Mother Ko. Seeing her son hang up the phone, was so angry her lungs were about to burst. This brat even dares to hang up on his mother. It's infuriating. Then she turned to look not far away at Father County playing on his phone and commanded, "Old Ko, if you have nothing to do, go wash the vegetables." Over here, after hanging up, I crept out of the room. After listening to the call recording, I felt something was wrong and immediately called Mom back. Before Mother County could speak, I preempted her. "Mom, prepare yourself mentally first. Then I'll tell you the situation." Hearing that, Mother County was speechless. "I already imagined the scene of you going, 'Last night.' So you brat, speak up." "Actually, it's nothing big. It's just that you're about to become a grandmother." After Mother County heard that, she jumped up in shock, and immediately after that, she started a storm of rage, scolding me severely. The more she thought, the angrier she got. How could the son she raised do such a thing? Getting a girl pregnant before marriage? What kind of behavior is this? Even though she was retired, and indeed wanted to hold a grandchild, but not suddenly like this. In turn, anyone would find it unbearable. She definitely had to go there to see for herself. After hanging up, Mother County immediately told this story to Father Ko. Father County heard it and was so angry that blue veins stood out on his forehead. He decided to take the 7 Wolves belt to go and question me. After that, my parents began to rummage through things and pack luggage, preparing to fly there to give me a lesson I'd never forget. On the other side, I was pacing back and forth in the living room like a cat on a hot tin roof. It's over. It's over. This afternoon I'll definitely get a beating. Just then, Havudong pushed the room door open and stepped out. Seeing my worried face, she looked puzzled. "County Bach, what are you doing?" "Wife, you're up? Are you hungry? Let me go make breakfast right away." I conveniently kneaded Havudong's small face. The frustration in my heart immediately vanished for the most part. A moment later, a fragrant bowl of minced meat and shiitake mushroom porridge was brought up. Seeing Dong eat the porridge happily, I also felt glad. Anyway, the rice has been cooked into a meal. At most, I'll just take a few beatings. 25 years later, I'll still be a hero, while Dong was eating. I decided to tell her about this. After hearing it, she couldn't even swallow the porridge. Her eyes went round, her beautiful small mouth slightly gaped. For a long time she couldn't close it, her eyes full of shock, not knowing what to do. As for me, I hugged Dong and said gently, "Wife, don't be afraid. This matter had to be faced sooner or later. My parents are very easygoing. Seeing a beautiful daughter-in-law like this, they'll be more than happy. But I still feel a bit shaky. Will your mother think I'm an easy person?" Seeing that, I explained Mom's thoughts to Dong, and at the same time informed the two elders that they would be coming here this afternoon to give me a thrashing. After Dong heard that, the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. It seemed she had relaxed a lot. Then she curiously asked more, "So how do your parents usually hit you?" "My dad has a family heirloom belt. My mom has a family treasure clothes hanger. The two of them coordinate their hits and even take turns. This time Mom finishes hitting and she'll be fired up. Next time Mom finishes, it's Dad's turn to be fired up. The two of them play off each other. It's definitely because you were too mischievous. Just now you were planning to act like a hooligan with me." How can a husband kissing his wife be called a hooligan? We aren't yet. We haven't even had a wedding." After saying that, she raised her elegant hand and punched me in the chest once. After that, the two of us together imagined this sweet life after marriage. Dong was teased by me until her whole body was flushed red. Quickly unable to bear it anymore, she used the excuse of going to sleep to hide. I directly carried her princess style, gently carrying her toward the bedroom. I had just run out to the gate of the residential area when my ear was caught. Quote, "Ow! Ow! Mom! In front of everyone, keep a little face for me, Mom." Truong Thuklon pinched my ear with a look of disappointment. "How did I teach you before? Making a girl's belly big like this, and even renting such an expensive house. Do you not intend to live anymore?" I looked to Father County Tran Kwok for help, but the result was the old man moved his lips as if to say, "Clearly Dad can't save you either. In a moment, Dad himself has to thrash you." I was totally defeated by Dad. I finally managed to lead the two elders into the house. Mom observed the surroundings. Her anger had cooled a bit, but she immediately remembered the main task. "Where is my daughter-in-law?" "Ah, she's sleeping. I'm going to cook rice." I hurriedly ducked into the kitchen to seek refuge. Dong is only used to eating the rice I cook." After Mom heard this sentence, her eyes practically rolled to the sky, but for the sake of the grandchild, she endured. The chicken had just finished stewing, and the aroma drew Dong out. She came into the living room in a daze. "County Bok, it smells so good." Before the words were finished, she saw the two elders sitting formally. That scene was no different from a little rabbit wandering into a tiger's den. Dong's face turned bright red, and she turned to run back to her room. Mom swung her hand at Dad once. "Look at your face. You made my daughter-in-law run away in fear." Dad looked wronged. "I didn't do anything to anyone." I hurriedly went into the room, coaxing Dong to come out, and formally introduced the parents. "This is Dong. Dong, these are my parents." Mom saw the real person was even more beautiful than in the photos, smiling so broadly her mouth wouldn't close. She immediately put the heirloom bracelet on Dong. "This bracelet is a meeting gift Mom gives to the daughter-in-law. If this brat dares to bully you, Mom will handle him for you." After she said that, Mom glanced at Dad as a signal. "Old Co, take your son outside to talk." Outside the door, Dad quietly pulled out the 7 Wolves belt. "You brat dare to get someone pregnant before marriage? Let's see if Dad breaks your legs." I closed my eyes in resignation. Just as the belt was about to lash down, a beautiful figure suddenly rushed forward and hugged me tightly. "Uncle, please don't hit County Bok." Dong, with tears streaming, blocked the way in front of me. "County Bok is not at fault at all, because I like County Bok very much." Dad's hand froze in midair. I was also stunned. Dong, originally weak, could bravely protect me like that. I held her hand tightly, swearing to Dad, "Dad, I will use my whole life to take care of her." Dad let out a sigh and tucked the belt away. "All right, go in and eat. Don't let my grandchild go hungry." Dinner took place extremely warmly and happily. The two elders praised my cooking skills incessantly. After eating, Mom mysteriously pulled me to a corner and stuffed a bank card into my hand. In here is 1 million RMB. It's the retirement money Mom and Dad saved up. Now that Wudong is pregnant, you two quickly go buy a house in Vanhai City. Living in a rented house like this isn't reassuring. Looking at the silver hair at the temples of the two elders, my heart tightened and I pushed the card back. Mom, there's no need to buy one. Take it and rent a house. Without a house, how can you get married? I puffed out my chest and acted a bit tough. Mom, this house isn't rented. I bought the land. The atmosphere suddenly went silent for 3 seconds. Mom slapped my forehead once. You brat, did you go rob a bank? I held my head and explained. In university, I started investing in design. This is really money I earned. Mom was stunned for a long time, finally uttering a sentence. At least the kid has some ability. Seeing the two elders off, I felt relieved. I finally considered the hurdle passed. In the middle of the quiet night, I pushed open the bedroom door. When I discovered a beautiful figure lying on the bed, pushing open the door, the beautiful Belle was lying on my bed, sleeping. Who could bear this scene? I cleaned up and climbed onto the bed. Just as I was about to lie down, this girl suddenly turned over, her elegant hands hugging me tightly. Looking at her slightly trembling eyelashes, I couldn't help but gently pinch that beautiful face. Wife, are you asleep? She played dead and didn't answer, but her eyebrows knitted slightly. I laughed, hee, and leaned close. Wife, why did you run to my room today? Wudong's face flushed. Bright red, she immediately closed her eyes tight and said haughtily, HMPH, this is my room. It's you who went to the wrong one. I looked at her with indulgence. Okay, it was I who went to the wrong one. In the future, I will always go to the wrong one. Wife is forever mine. Finally, unable to pretend anymore, she raised a small fist against the mattress. Not letting you talk anymore. I conveniently pulled her into my arms, asking softly, the day after tomorrow, when we visit my mother-in-law, what do you think Mom will like? Wudong burrowed her face into my chest and rubbed. Yeah. Just buying some fruit is fine. My mom isn't picky. How can that be? Having kidnapped someone's daughter, the first time at the house must be very formal. That afternoon, I pulled Wudong straight to Kim Lone Square. Shopping mode. Full gas. Bird's nest. Brand bags. Jewelry. I didn't even look at the prices and directly swiped the card. Wudong finally felt the sting of the money. County Bok, don't buy anymore, it's too much. I replied with a wicked smile, intentionally teasing her. It's okay not to buy, but you have to kiss me once. Wudong's face was as red as a ripe apple, hesitating for a long while. Wait until we're home. There are too many people here. Let me lead you to see this, it's very interesting. I pulled her and ran straight to the 5th floor. This is the System Reward, a luxury store, 150 square meters wide, right at this golden Kim Lone Square. The shopping center manager had been waiting for a long time, respectfully handing over a set of documents. Mr. Ko, you just need to sign here. Wudong was stunned, her small mouth agape. When did you buy a store? After generously signing, I turned my head. Wife, how about opening a fish restaurant here? She was bewildered. Why a fish restaurant? I squeezed her hand lightly and looked into her eyes, speaking from the heart. Honestly, because my wife likes eating fish the most. This girl was stunned, her eyes suddenly turning red. Because of being moved, she just hugged me tight and wouldn't let go. Returning home at night, she told this story to her best friend, another scene of strong dog food. I saw her mood was quite good, but in my heart I began to feel worried. Before sleeping, I brought a glass of hot milk and asked softly, Wife, tomorrow will your mother kick me out? Wudong burst out laughing, suddenly leaning close and biting my face hard once. Don't worry, I'll help you. That bite hurt a bit, but it was truly very sweet. But about tomorrow, will we get through it? I hugged her in my arms, still feeling restless and uneasy. Early the next morning, the two had a disagreement about which car to drive. Wudong grabbed my hand and wanted to drive that purple Xiaomi SU7. The reason was that the Maybach was too flamboyant. I refused immediately. No, this time I'm going so your mother will agree to marry her daughter to me. If I'm not a bit flamboyant, then I'll look too ordinary. I patted the Maybach behind me and said loudly, I still have to rely on it to be able to hold my head high in front of my future mother-in-law. Wifey was amused by me, obediently, sitting in the car for 4 hours. Wifey sat in the back seat humming a small tune. I sat in the front seat acting as the driver, speeding straight to Tingtui City. Arriving at the old neighborhood, my mouth hung open when I saw the mother-in-law's house was on the 8th floor and had no elevator. I carried 2 large gift bags and had to struggle for dear life to climb up. Arriving at the mother-in-law's house, I was stunned once again. The middle-aged woman who stepped out had a gentle aura. Her skin was extremely well cared for. No wonder Havu Dong was so beautiful. It turns out it was because the genes were so strong. "Hello, ma'am. I am Havu Dong's boyfriend, named County Bak." The mother-in-law took the gift bags, smiling, as she invited the two into the house for lunch. The table was full of dishes Havu Dong liked to eat. To show off, I peeled shrimp and picked up food throughout the meal, serving very thoughtfully. The mother-in-law watched the two of us exchanging glances, suddenly smiling and asking, "How did you two meet?" This truly was a deadly question. I and Havu Dong looked at each other and then said in unison, "At a school party, ma'am." The mother-in-law's eyes flashed, knowing well but not saying it. Her smile made my hair stand on end. After finishing eating, the mother-in-law looked at the pile of tonic medicine and expensive jewelry on the floor, finally getting to the main point. She looked at the two of us, who were extremely tense, her tone still as gentle as before. "Dong Dong, is there something you're hiding from Mom?" This atmosphere looked mild, but in reality, it was full of pressure. Havu Dong gripped my hand tightly, took a deep breath, and finally confessed, "Mom, actually, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant." As soon as these words were uttered, the atmosphere froze. The mother-in-law's eyes rolled up. I hurriedly stood up straight. "Ma'am, it's all my fault. If you want to hit or scold, please, just vent it on me. I absolutely won't hit back." The mother-in-law took a deep breath and pointed to the bedroom. "Dong Dong, come in here with Mom." As soon as the door closed, my heart felt like it was hanging up at my throat. 10 minutes later, the mother and daughter stepped out. Though the mother-in-law's face had softened a bit, it was still very serious. "County Bak, you said you would take responsibility. So how do you plan to take responsibility?" "Ma'am, as long as you agree, tomorrow I will go with Vu Dong to register our marriage. The wedding will definitely be held very grandly." Just saying nice words is useless. Don't let the child be born and then have to live on air. The mother-in-law spoke right to the point. I had already prepared in advance and immediately took out my phone. "Ma'am, please look. I already bought a house in the Kim Lon Fu area of Van Hai City. In the Red Book, both of our names are listed." The mother-in-law took the phone, and as soon as she saw it, her eyes clearly brightened. Adding her daughter's name like this was simple, but it truly was a fatal masterstroke. Furthermore, although I haven't graduated yet, I have always been investing to earn money. Raising Vu Dong and the baby will definitely not be a problem. The mother-in-law let out a helpless sigh and shook her head. "The rice is already cooked into a meal. Can I still separate this pair of lovebirds?" Havu Dong's eyes suddenly turned red and she hugged her. "Thank you, Mom." I was so moved that I almost knelt down to kowtow to my mother-in-law. The mother-in-law suddenly turned serious. "County Bak, remember the words you said. If I find out that Dong Dong has to suffer grievances, I absolutely will not forgive you. Ma'am, please rest assured, if I have even one point of fault toward her, I beg to bring my head to see you." In the evening, the mother-in-law actually arranged for me and Havu Dong to stay in the same room. This support move was truly divine. Havu Dong was so shy her face turned bright red, pushing me to go change into pajamas. "Wife, your mom has already agreed. Shouldn't we change the way we address each other?" I took the opportunity to act spoiled. "Husband!" She glared at me grumpily, but her voice was as sweet as cotton candy. Right at that moment, a crisp ding sounded in my head. Congratulations to the host for passing the mother-in-law's challenge. The reward is a penthouse at the HOA Vienne era in Tingtui City. Activating the prize draw mechanism. Do you want to draw? In my heart, I thought to myself, taking the well-being of my roommate Chu Tuan, who has to top up to the maximum every time just to win a card, as the price, please give me a top-tier item. Ding! Congratulations, you have received a free shop decoration voucher. Even the system added a supplement. Originally it was better luck next time, but thanks to the successful sacrifice of the roommate, the fate was forcibly changed. Tone, I'm sorry. At the same time, at the distant school dormitory, Chu Tuan looked at the screen once again. I have to top up to the maximum just to win? He screamed miserably. Who is teasing me like this? Early the next morning, while Havu Dong was still sleeping in, I crept out of the room just as the phone rang. It was the sales manager of the HOAVN era area. Sir, your apartment 1201 in Building A is all prepared. You can come to receive it at any time. This system's efficiency is truly wonderful. Just as I hung up the phone and turned around, the mother-in-law was standing there looking at me. County Bok, what do you think of my girl Vu Dong? Gentle, kind, strong, and decisive. She is the most wonderful person, ma'am. The mother-in-law's eyes turned a bit red. This girl hasn't had a father since she was little. Her self-esteem is high, and she's very sensitive. I entrust this only daughter to you. Please yield to her a little. Ma'am, please rest assured, I will certainly take good care of Vu Dong. To express my determination, I immediately made a request. Ma'am, in the evening I want to learn cooking from you. I want to learn the taste of mother. Later, if Vu Dong misses home, I will cook for her. The mother-in-law was stunned for a moment, then she smiled so brightly her mouth wouldn't close. Okay, let me teach you. That's exactly how it should be. To win over a mother-in-law, one must still rely on small details. After dinner, I and Ha Vu Dong held hands and went for a stroll in the small park below the house. This is where she grew up, filled with childhood memories. County Bok, it's so beautiful here, isn't it? She showed a small face as if waiting to be praised. I pulled her into my arms and said happily, It is indeed very beautiful. But just now you called me wrong. You should call me hubby. Ha Vu Dong's face suddenly turned bright red and she whispered, I'm still not used to it. I raised her chin. You'll get used to it after calling it a few times. She blinked her large, sparkling eyes and murmured once, Husband! Hubby! Just that one sound. And after hearing it, I felt my limbs go weak. Just as I was about to do something, a meow suddenly sounded from the bushes. A chubby tabby cat squeezed out. Ha Vu Dong's eyes lit up. Tieli, do you still remember me? The wife, who was just being shy a moment ago, instantly turned into a cat servant. Just as I was about to reach out to pet the cat, it snobbishly avoided me. Ha Vu Dong smiled and gave me a pack of snacks. Quote, If you want to touch it, you have to pay a toll. Indeed. Only with food would the little cat agree to be friends. Only after eating did it obediently bring its head close for me to rub. Looking at Ha Vu Dong's peaceful profile under the lights, I felt this moment was truly too wonderful. Returning to the room and lying on the familiar bed, I acted secretively. Wife, tomorrow I'll lead you to a very wonderful place. Where are we going? Do you have something else hiding from me? It's a good thing, but you have to kiss me once before I tell you. She hesitated a bit and leaned in, intending to kiss my cheek. I had predicted that intention and turned my face, placing a precise, unerring kiss on those small, cherry-like lips for a long time, like a spring breeze and summer rain. Vu Dong grumpily punched me lightly. Didn't I say a kiss on the cheek? I thick-facedly hugged her tight. I thought you said kiss me. She pinched my waist hard once, only then cooling her anger. Okay, tomorrow I'll lead you to see our new home. A real surprise. The person in my arms finally quieted down, her breathing gradually becoming steady. Tomorrow, when she sees that it's a penthouse at the HOAVN era. I don't know what expression she will have. The next morning, I was enjoying breakfast when Ha Vu Dong suddenly blushed and asked me a deadly question. Bok, how are you so skilled? Was that your first kiss? Tell the truth. Looking at her face that said, Dare to lie and you're dead, my survival instinct suddenly surged, and I hugged her tight. Boys have a natural talent for this kind of thing. Last night was definitely my first kiss. After eating, I drove her straight to the HOAVN era area in the city center. This is the most high-end residential area in Tin Phu City. The price per square meter is over 10,000 targets. In a small city, this is definitely the ceiling price. At the gate, Ha Vu Dong was a bit panicked and timidly grabbed my hand. Hubby, do you dislike my old house? She thought I was a pampered young master who wasn't used to the old house. I squeezed her hand seriously. Anyway, I don't want in the future for the mother-in-law to have to climb to the 8th floor every day. Besides, this place is close to where ma'am works. Later, when we come back here to stay, it will be much more convenient. This reason was truly beyond reproach. Vu Dong was moved to tears and hugged me, then called out once, Thank you, hubby. I took the chance to steal a kiss on her cheek. You must use actual actions to thank me." Manager Huang was waiting and greeted us busily. "This is the 200 square meters luxury apartment in Building A for the two of you. It has been paid in full." Manager Huang smiled extremely radiantly. "Honored owners, please step inside." The living room was extremely spacious, with a beautiful view. Havu Dong stood on the balcony, happy as a child. So beautiful, it feels completely different from Kim Lon Fu. After signing and receiving the keys, this luxury apartment officially belonged to the two of us. Just as the two were preparing to go downstairs to pick up the mother-in-law after work, they had just stepped out of the apartment gate when a crisp, female voice suddenly rang out. "Vu Dong, it really is you." A graceful girl approached. It was Havu Dong's childhood friend, Tran Din Din. "Vu Dong, who is this handsome guy?" Havu Dong linked her arm with mine, her voice extremely sweet. "This is my husband, County Bok." This word husband was called so naturally, I felt very heartwarmed. Tran Din Din's eyes rolled up. "I haven't seen you for a few months and you're already married?" Havu Dong blushed. "Not married yet, but soon." Tran Din Din pulled her away and whispered for a long time, finally asking, "Why are you two at HOAVN era? We just came to see a house." Tran Din Din showed a face as if she understood everything. "I also just bought a unit in this building. Later, if there's a chance, come over to my place to play. My house has a great view." Havu Dong only gave a light smile. "Sure." After saying goodbye to Tran Din Din, I held my wife's hand, intending to leave when that manager, Hong, came running after us, panting tea. Din Din hadn't gone far yet. He and looked at this scene bewildered, unable to resist stepping forward to ask Manager Huang, "Did they also buy a house here?" Manager Huang smiled very professionally. "Yes, ma'am. Mr. County here paid in full at once to buy the penthouse in Building A, a 200 square meters. Luxury apartment." Tran Din Din was suddenly frozen in place. A penthouse paid in full? 200 square meters? Thinking back to her small apartment on the top floor, it wasn't even as good as their restroom. She just wanted to find a hole to crawl into. Having settled the housing matter, the two drove to pick up the mother-in-law from work at the shopping center gate. Hong the Fong was waiting for a bus with a middle-aged woman. That woman showed an extremely self-satisfied face. "The Fong, my son works at a state-owned enterprise. It's a stable job for life. Why don't you reconsider?" The mother-in-law's face was full of helplessness. "No need, Tran Li. I have a son-in-law already." "Oh please, he hasn't even graduated yet. How can he have a future? Finding a job is very difficult now, not like my son." Before the words were finished, I stepped on the brakes of the shiny Maybach, stopping right in front of the two. The window rolled down and Havu Dong poked her head out. "Mom, get in the car!" The mother-in-law looked at this luxury car and was stunned. Tran Li was even more like a choked duck. Her voice suddenly stopped. "Mom, let's get in the car! Let's go home and cook rice!" I smiled and greeted them, and Havu Dong added another sentence. "Auntie Tran, how about we give you a lift for a bit?" Tran Li's face turned as red as pig's blood, and she hurriedly waved her hand. No need. My son will be here to pick me up in a moment." The mother-in-law straightened her back, pulled the car door, and sat inside, turning back to say to Tran Li, "Well, my son-in-law has come to pick me up, so I'll take my leave first." The car began to move. Looking through the rearview mirror, I saw Tran Li lonely and huddling at the bus stop. In the car, the mother-in-law touched the leather seats, a bit worried. "My boy, this car must be very expensive, right?" Her family was probably worried the class gap was too large, afraid her daughter would suffer grievances. I hurried to reassure her. "Ma'am, please rest assured. My parents are both very open-minded people." The mother-in-law finally breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the loving appearance of her daughter and son-in-law through the rearview mirror, she couldn't help but chuckle to herself. Until arriving home, I didn't say a word and ducked straight into the kitchen. The mother-in-law intended to help, but I smilingly pushed her out. Very soon after, 4 savory dishes and 1 soup were served on the table. Steamed turbot, beef, stir-fried with onions. Every dish was a dish the wife liked. The mother-in-law tasted a piece, and her eyes lit up. "Ma'am, my boy's skill is even better than a restaurant chef." While the mother-in-law was eating happily, I went straight to the point. "Mom, my house at the HOAVN era. Wait until the decoration is finished. Let's all move there together. The mother-in-law paused her chopsticks. Her first reaction was to refuse. That's too expensive, my boy. This old house is still good to live in. Listen to me and return that house. I had already prepared and unleashed the final masterstroke. Mom, it's close to where you work, and you don't have to climb stairs. Most importantly, for Wudong and the baby in her belly, the living environment must be very good. As soon as the grandchild was mentioned, the mother-in-law indeed softened and nodded in agreement. During the afternoon nap, the wife was sleeping dizzily in the room. Seeing her sleeping soundly like a little pig, I didn't have the heart to wake her and secretly slipped out of the house. First was taking the mother-in-law to work, then running straight to the interior decoration company. At 5 p.m., Wudong woke up and saw I wasn't home. So she called a video to check immediately. Knowing I was busy with the decoration for the new house, this girl felt touched and suddenly had a strange idea, wanting to personally go to the kitchen to cook me a delicious meal. The result was that as soon as she entered the kitchen, the smell of oil smoke rose in her stomach and suddenly churned up. She had to go to the restroom and vomit uncontrollably, her whole body limp as she flopped onto the sofa, tears falling incessantly. I saw the mother-in-law return, and as soon as she entered the door, she saw this heartbreaking scene. Wudong's eyes were red and her voice was raspy. Hubby, I wanted to cook rice for you, but My heart suddenly tightened, and I pulled her into my arms, gently wiping away the tear streaks on the corners of her eyes. So silly. Who asked you to go into the kitchen? I looked at her pale, small face and seriously gave an order like a domineering CEO. From today on, the kitchen is your forbidden zone. All housework is your husband's business, do you hear me? Wudong leaned into my arms. The uncomfortable feeling just now seemed to have vanished quite a bit, and she obediently nodded. Yes, I know! The mother-in-law stood by, witnessing this scene, and quietly turned into the kitchen. But a satisfied smile bloomed on the corner of her mouth. Because of morning sickness, she couldn't eat much. By the time they strolled along the river, Wudong's stomach had already started to protest, passing by a famous online ice cream shop. This girl's eyes suddenly lit up. Hubby, I want to eat the strawberry flavor. How could I resist this acting spoiled? I kissed the back of her hand lightly. How about it, wifey? Just sit here and wait for me. I saw the line was quite long, so I told her to find a seat first. Right while I was standing in line, a young man with a Korean-style haircut approached her. Hey beauty, can I have your Zalo? Wudong politely refused. Sorry, I have a husband. That guy glanced around once, seeing she was alone and thinking she was lying. Don't joke, just asking for contact info, why so arrogant? I came over holding a large strawberry ice cream, staring at that guy with cold eyes. Didn't she say she has a husband? I am her husband right here. That guy looked up and saw I was half a head taller than him and my eyes were sharp as a knife. He immediately shivered and slunk into the crowd and ran away. Next time if I see this, just call me and see if I handle the guy. I gave her the ice cream. It's the special kind. The ice cream was truly very large. Wudong had only eaten half when she felt she couldn't eat anymore. She showed a pitiful face, looking at me. Hubby, I can't finish it. I helplessly took it in just a few bites. It was all settled. Did you plan this from the start? She stuck out her tongue and led me running away. There is a surprise ahead. At the end of the riverbank, an old man was sitting by a candied hawthorn stand. There was only one skewer left. Wudong excitedly pointed at it. That's the old man. When I was little, he often gave me candied hawthorns. So the old man could go home early. I spent money to buy it all. Wudong took the candied hawthorn skewer, smiling happily as a child. Grandpa, do you still remember me? The old man's cloudy eyes suddenly brightened, and he observed her carefully. You're that little girl who often ate my candied hawthorns back then? This last strawberry candied hawthorn skewer is my gift to you. The old man's gentle smile, along with a bright red candy skewer in hand, suddenly brought Wudong back to her childhood days. To thank the old man for the care years ago, I secretly left a 100 RMB bill on the stand. On the way home, this girl was eating quite deliciously. Hubby, do you want to eat? I smiled wickedly and shook my head. No, unless, just as she put the last piece in her mouth, I hugged her waist and leaned down for a long kiss. I licked my lips once. It really is very sweet. Ha Wudong was so shy her whole face was bright red, and she chased after me to hit me. "County Bach! You dare to steal my candied hawthorn?" I thick-facedly spread my hands. "Do I look like I'd steal it? I was just tasting my wife's flavor." The car drove to the apartment area and hadn't entered the gate yet when a man with a flowery face and a bouquet of flowers was standing there blocking the way. It was Lai Kiet, that high school class president who was as persistent as a leech. Seeing Ha Wudong step down from the Maybach, the fake smile on his face immediately froze, but he still thick-facedly approached. "Hey, Wudong, I heard you were back. This bouquet is for you." Lai Kiet, "I have a husband. Please have some self-respect." "Wudong, what kind of prospects does that boyfriend of yours have?" "Now I've started working at a prestigious enterprise." Before he could finish, he saw me walk up beside her. "Still dare to bother my wife? I'll break your legs." I added a kick to his butt, making him fall face first. Lai Kiet struggled to crawl up. He took a look and retreated out of sight. Finally, the day of departure came. Below the stairs, the mother-in-law's eyes were red, solemnly putting the household registration book into Ha Wudong's hand. "Dong Dong, take it! Remember to come home and visit often later." At this point, Ha Wudong finally couldn't hold back and burst into loud sobs. I also felt my nose stinging and held her hand tightly. "Mom, please rest assured, I will often bring her back to visit you." After the Maybach slowly rolled away, through the rearview mirror, the mother-in-law's figure grew smaller and smaller, but she still stood there forever, not leaving. Returning home, the wife was so tired from crying she fell asleep in my arms like a little cat. I didn't have the heart to wake her and carried her princess style all the way into the house. In the elevator, meeting the neighbor lady, this girl shyly buried her head in my chest, acting like an ostrich, looking extremely adorable. Returning to Van High, life finally returned to its orbit. These past few days, Ha Wudong has been busy preparing for graduation and defending her thesis, busy to the point of breaking her head. As for me, with the status of the, quote, academic king of the whole department, I had long been exempted from the defense and was specially allowed to graduate, so I was free to sit and watch movies in the living room. The wife was both admiring and jealous, coming over to bite me hard on the face once. "Oh my God, why? Why are you exempted from the defense?" I touched the teeth marks on my face, smiling proudly. "What can I do? It's because your husband is too excellent. That's why people worry less. Hubby is the best." Even though she complained, her eyes were full of admiration. After saying that, she also blushed and vanished into the room. I touched the moist bite mark on my face and calculated silently. The household registration book is already in hand. Shouldn't I plan for a grand proposal on the day of the thesis defense? It must be admitted that this girl was so beautiful it was against the rules. Looking at her, I just wanted to hide her away. "Hubby, am I beautiful?" She spun around. I hugged her. "Beautiful! My wife looks beautiful in everything." After taking her to the defense room, I wasn't obediently waiting at the door but put on a baseball cap. I secretly slipped in through the back door, sitting in the last row. On the podium, Ha Wudong was confident, calm, and spoke fluently. Her demeanor was truly wonderful. The male students next to me looked until they were dazed. Indeed, the school Belle is different. I heard she's already taken. I don't know what lucky bastard that is. I sat next to them hearing it, and the corners of my mouth kept twitching, holding back laughter to death, feeling secretly thrilled in my heart. That bastard is me right here. The defense ended, and I hurriedly slipped away. Just as I stopped at the door, a junior girl came over intending to ask for WeChat, but before she could wait for me to refuse, Ha Wudong appeared and linked her arm with mine, her gaze sharp. "Sorry, he has a family." The junior girl, seeing it was the school Belle, immediately retreated. "Wife, are you jealous?" I teased with a wicked smile. "HMPH, you just stepped out and you're already teasing flowers and grass." She grumpily pinched my waist once. To coax my great person, I had to agree to take her to eat at the student cafeteria. This was the first time we ate together at the school cafeteria. Ha Wudong was excited as a child. Quote, "Ma'am, don't let your hands shake. This is the last time we're eating at school." The lady scooping food smiled broadly and scooped a pile as big as a small mountain. We found a corner to sit down. Ha Wudong picked up braised fish for me, then picked up a shrimp, and brought it right to my mouth. How could this meal be so romantic? She didn't notice that the atmosphere around seemed to have frozen. "Look quickly. That's the school Belle." Who is the one sitting next to Havudong? Oh my god, they are even feeding each other. I don't know what bored person took a photo and posted it on the school forum. I just opened my phone to look. In the roommate group, it was all wailing. Bak, you're famous. You've become the common enemy of the whole school. I went into the forum to see the thread title pinned at the top. Shocking. The school Belle feeding rice to a mysterious man in the cafeteria. Below the comment area, it was all, "Draw your swords! Let's form a group to deal with him!" I only felt a chill run down my spine. Quote, "Wife, I feel like I'm about to be beaten to death." Havudong looked at her phone and laughed until her whole body shook. "It's okay. Big sister here will protect you. This girl usually gets bullied by me. Today she actually wanted to rise up in rebellion." My face flushed red, and to preserve my life, I had to endure the humiliation, leaning close to her ear and whispering, "Sister! Big sister!" Havudong was immediately overjoyed. She stood on her tiptoes and gave me a light kiss on the lips. "Good boy, a reward for you." "That's it? How are you going to help me solve that matter?" She shook her phone and smiled triumphantly. "Check the forum," I clicked to see. The first and newest pinned comment was from her account, full of dominance. "Stop guessing. That's not a boyfriend. That's my husband." So that was it. The whole school knew I had become a stay-at-home son-in-law, but thanks to this death exemption card, my back immediately straightened up. After the thesis defense ended, the biggest change in Havudong was that she had become a smooth driver under my dedicated guidance. Now she drove in the city like a fish in water. Today was their dormitory's farewell party. Before leaving, Havudong leaned in and gave me a light kiss on the lips. Just as she was about to run, I pulled her back into my arms to deepen the kiss. "You're wicked." She blushed, scolded me, hurriedly reapplied her lipstick, stepped on the gas and sped away. With the wife out at a party with friends, I didn't let myself stay idle. I posted a recruitment notice for a store manager position on a job app with a salary of NDT 20,000 per month. After all, the luxury store the system gifted me couldn't be left empty forever. I just wanted to be a leisurely boss. In another development, after finishing the farewell party, Havudong didn't go home immediately, but went to a jewelry store at Kim Lone Square. County Bak is too popular. I have to stamp my sovereignty on him. Havudong actually secretly bought a men's ring for me worth NDT 18,888. When swiping the card, although she winced at the price while gritting her teeth, she was still determined to buy it. Arriving home, she guiltily dashed straight into the bedroom to hide the item. I pulled her back. "Wife, what are you hiding?" She blinked her large, innocent, mysterious eyes. "A girl's secret! You're not allowed to know! As long as you're happy, it's fine." Early the next morning, just as I was about to get up, I was woken by Chuton's phone call. "Bak, I heard you're recruiting a manager. See if I'll do?" I paused for a moment. "Didn't you go to take the civil service exam?" "Don't mention it. The competition is too much. I wasn't even called for the interview." My family owns a restaurant, so I have experience to verify his strength. We met at a cafe near the school. After a round of interviewing, I truly had a different view of Chutawan. "Bak, don't just look at my careless appearance. When it comes to cooking, I'm a master. Let me make a dish of sheep large intestine for you to enjoy." I suddenly remembered the original flavor intestine meme and hurriedly waved my hand. No, I'm afraid you'll intentionally leave behind a bit of original flavor." Finally, I decided to make him the manager with a base salary of NDT 20,000 and a 3/7 profit share. Chuton was so moved he almost knelt to bow to me. "Bak, you are truly my reborn parent." After talking for a while, this guy started complaining again. "Bak, tell me, am I having bad luck? Whenever I top up in games, I always have to hit the pity limit to win." I almost spat a mouthful of coffee out. "Toan, you must know that those are all sacrifices to offer as a tribute for my system rewards." After sending Chutoan off, I just stepped out of the cafe and was preparing to get the car when I accidentally ran into a familiar figure. Shoulder-length hair, eyes full of complexity. It turned out to be my ex-girlfriend. Deep Tu Hien looked at me with a quite surprised face. "County Bak! It really is you." Just out of the cafe and I run into this unlucky person. Deep Tu Hien was my ex from freshman year. Back then she looked down on me for being poor. After dating for less than half a year, she ran off with a young master. At this moment, the arrogance in her eyes was the same as before. What a coincidence, County Bach. I glanced at her, only wanting to leave quickly to get her out of my sight. Yeah, quite a coincidence. She clearly didn't intend to let me go. Crossing her arms over her chest and mocking, "Why are you so cold? Is this how you treat your first love? You're about to graduate. Have you found a job yet? My current boyfriend is a leader at a tech company. Do you need me to hand you an opportunity?" Hearing her brag about her boyfriend to belittle me, my heart didn't feel a single ripple. I even found it a bit funny. "Then congratulations to you," I replied coldly, then walked around her, heading straight to the Maybach parked by the road. After opening the car door and starting the engine, through the rearview mirror, I saw the coffee cup in Deep Tu-Hyen's hand almost fall to the ground. Her two eyes were wide open as if they were about to fall out. She was probably crazily reassuring herself. How could County Bach have enough money to drive a Maybach? It's definitely a rental to show off. Putting that annoying person aside, I conveniently went to buy food and returned to Kim Lon Fu. Just as I stepped into the house, a soft and fragrant body threw itself into my arms. "Hubby, welcome home!" Ha Vudong was like a little cat, clinging to me without leaving. Looking at the silly girl in my arms who was devoting her entire gaze to me, that unlucky feeling from earlier immediately vanished completely. "Hubby, I see your cooking skills are getting better and better. You've even mastered the flavor of my mother's dishes." I affectionately rubbed her head. "Of course. Go watch a movie. Leave lunch to me." When 3 savory dishes and 1 soup were served, I brought up the main matter while picking up food for her. "Wife, I plan to let Chu Tuan take the position of manager for our restaurant. His family is in the food industry, so he has a lot of experience." Ha Vudong obediently nodded. "It's fine, as long as you decide." After eating during the afternoon nap while seeing her sleeping soundly, I felt a bit guilty, so I decided to confess. "Wife, actually, today I met my ex-girlfriend again." The person in my arms clearly stiffened a bit. The eyes that were sparkling a moment ago suddenly turned red, and her voice trembled. "And then, do you plan to go back to her?" A pregnant woman's mood is naturally sensitive. Seeing this aggrieved face of hers, I felt extremely pained, hurriedly hugging her tight, forehead to forehead. Silly. Back then I was young and naive, so I dated her, but I stopped liking her long ago. Moreover, nothing ever happened between me and her, truly. Hearing that, she stopped crying, smiled, and buried her face in my chest, speaking in a tiny voice. "Actually, I've liked you for a long time." I was stunned. Huh? Why didn't I know? Back then I was cornered by people in a small alley. And you saved me, although you probably don't remember. I always kept it engraved in my heart. It turned out there was this fated connection. I intended to swear that I would be good to her in the future. The result was, as soon as I raised my hand, I was blocked by her soft hand. "Don't swear, I believe you," after coaxing the wife. In the afternoon, I drove the Maybach to pick up my roommate Chu Toan to handle the restaurant decoration business. As soon as Chu Toan got in the car, he began to marvel incessantly. "Damn, Bach, sitting in a luxury car is truly a treat for the body." I conveniently threw him a crumpled gift voucher. "Don't talk nonsense. Take this. Later, go to the design company to pay the money." Chu Toan looked at the thing in his hand, which was no different from a supermarket receipt. His face turning pale. "Bach, are you serious? Holding this scrap paper and asking to pay for decoration?" "Hey, don't harm your brother. Just go, and you'll see." To the most high-end restaurant interior design company in Van High City. The office decoration was no different from a royal palace. The saleswoman was polite, but her eyes showed clear doubt. Chu Tuan held the voucher, his hands shaking violently, whispering to me, "Bach, I feel so embarrassed. Will this be okay?" Chu Tuan took a risk and held out the voucher. "Sister, can this be used?" A female staff took it to look, and her expression immediately changed. "This isn't a normal voucher. This is a supreme gift voucher issued by the head company with an extremely limited quantity. In the whole country, there are only exactly 5. The next second, the company's branch manager came running out in a panic, bowing so low he almost glued his face to the floor. Truly very sorry to the 2 distinguished guests for the lack of a proper welcome. Quickly bring the best coffee here." Chu Tuan sat on the sofa, looking at the manager, who was handing out business cards while fawning and flattering, leaving him dazed with shock. When stepping out of the company, Chu Toan still hadn't regained his composure. Bok, what kind of character are you anyway? How did you do that? I pretended to be mysterious. Adult business. Kids shouldn't ask too much. To celebrate, I pulled Chu Toan to my house for a meal. When Chu Toan stood in the spacious, high-end apartment at Kim Lon-fu, admiring the luxury interior throughout the house, and saw Ha-vu Dong step out and say, "Welcome home, you two," his CPU was officially burnt to a crisp. While he was in the kitchen helping me with a hand, he gritted his teeth and exclaimed, "Truly, with money you can do whatever you want." I smiled and patted his shoulder. "Sorry, it truly is possible." In the kitchen, I was busy cooking, and Chu Toan stood beside me helping, his eyes wide as saucers. "Bok, do you really know how to cook?" I didn't bother to pay attention to him, quickly serving 4 dishes and 1 soup. Fish cakes, vermicelli stir-fried with garlic, sea bass, sweet and sour pork ribs, celery, and tofu soup. My wife, Ha-vu Dong, excitedly ran over, sitting right next to me. I picked up a piece of fish cake and fed it to her. "Try a new dish, honey, it's very delicious." Her eyes crinkled like crescent moons, and then she picked up a piece to feed back to me. "Husband, you eat too!" Chu Toan sat opposite, and although he felt no different from a high-wattage light bulb, he still couldn't resist picking up a piece of fish. Just a second later, his whole body stiffened. "Damn, Bach, this is too delicious. It melts right in the mouth. Why are you even recruiting a chef? Just be the head chef yourself." "No way, I still have to stay home to take care of my wife and child. Otherwise, why would I recruit you as a manager?" Chu Toan was speechless. His eyes suddenly darted around, and then he suddenly smiled wickedly. "Sister-in-law, do you want to know some embarrassing stories about Bach in the dormitory?" Ha-vu Dong looked interested. "Yeah, what embarrassing stories?" Although Bach looks cold and arrogant, actually he really likes to peek at beautiful girls on the street. I was quick with my hands and eyes, and covered this guy's mouth, conveniently picking up a pork rib and stuffing it into his mouth. "Shut up and eat your rice!" Seeing the half-smiling gaze of my wife, I hurried to express my loyalty. "Wife, don't listen to his nonsense. In my eyes, there's only you." After getting rid of that loudmouth, I went back to the bedroom only to find the door was locked from the inside. "Wife, open the door for me." From inside, Ha-vu Dong's haughty voice rang out, "No opening the door for wicked people who like to peek at beautiful girls." In my heart I cursed Chu Toan, that hateful name. But my mouth still had to cry injustice. It's such an injustice to me. "Wife, that was because I was tricked by them." The lock made a clack sound and opened. I hurriedly pulled the small woman who was turning her back to me into my arms. She turned around, her beautiful eyes staring at me. "Tricked how?" They shouted, "Look over there, there's something!" And so as soon as I turned my head, I fell into the trap. Right at that moment, I was truly a block of wood. Ha-vu Dong burst out laughing, and then snuggled a bit deeper into my arms. "I thought you were always so good at flirting like that." "Fine, I'm not really angry, just teasing you." A few days later, at the Center Square Van High University graduation ceremony, we were cheek to cheek together, ignoring the noisy crowd around us. At this moment, in our eyes, there was only each other. The human-powered tool Chu Toan was holding the camera, clicking continuously, while complaining, "In the future, if I drop dead from being full, it will definitely be because I was stuffed with too much dog food by you two." In the evening, returning home, I intentionally didn't turn on the lights, leading Ha-vu Dong to the middle of the living room. I knelt on one knee, taking out a 2-carat diamond ring worth NDT 500,000. "Vu Dong, meeting you is the greatest luck of my life. I want to use the rest of my life to take care of you and the child. Will you marry me?" Ha-vu Dong covered her mouth, tears immediately gushing out as she choked up and nodded. "I do." I stood up and hugged her tight, then slipped the ring onto her ring finger. Right at that moment, she suddenly remembered something, hurriedly ran back to the room, took out a small box, blushed as she gave it to me, and said, "Hubby, I also prepared a ring for you. Although it's a cheap kind, later I will try to earn money to buy a better one." Looking at her worried appearance, my heart turned soft. I reached out my hand for her to put it on, then lowered my head to kiss her lips. "Silly, I like it very much." At this time, social media was already full of our proposal photos. Everywhere were blessings. Just as I was immersed in happiness, that familiar voice rang out in my head again. "Congratulations. to the host for a successful proposal. The reward is 100% shares of Kim Loan New Technology Company in Van High City, effective from tomorrow. Damn, gifting the whole company? This system is so fire. It seems the days of living off this big boss are more and more worth looking forward to. In the evening, Havudong played with the diamond ring while asking softly, "Hubby, how much was this ring?" I honestly replied, "NDT 500,000. She took a cold breath, buried her face in my chest, and said, "Why buy such an expensive one? It makes the one I gave you look so cheap." I hugged her tight. "As long as it's from you, I like it all. If you're pained about the money, kiss me a few more times." Her mouth scolded. But the next second she suddenly leaned forward, kissed my lips once, then blushed and turned her back to pretend to sleep. Early the next morning, I suddenly received a call from an unknown number. Quote, "Mr. Ko, hello. I am Deep Tien Tan, chairman of Kim Loan Technology, wanting to discuss with you the handover of the company. The system works efficiently indeed." I decided after eating breakfast to leave a note for the wife who was still sleeping soundly, then drove straight to the company. Arriving below the company, Deep Tien Tan personally welcomed me. Although a bit shocked at this young new boss, the attitude was extremely respectful. After signing, I officially became the new chairman of Kim Loan Technology. To grasp the company's situation, I decided to go on a secret inspection tour. The departments were quite fine, except when reaching the R&D department on the 5th floor. Just out of the elevator, I bumped into someone I didn't want to meet. Deep Tu Hien crossed her arms over her chest with a mocking face. "Oh, County Bach, how did you get in here? A person like you can also enter the R&D department?" I looked at that face of hers and only found it ridiculous. "You're also in the R&D department? Do you even know how to write code?" "I don't, but my boyfriend is a leader. I can do whatever I want." She was triumphantly showing off. I gave a cold snort. "Then your boyfriend is quite formidable." After saying that, I turned and walked into the office. Entering the R&D department, the atmosphere was suffocating like a graveyard. Everyone was working overtime with gloomy faces. I caught sight of a roommate in the corner, Trung Track Thin, with huge dark circles under his eyes. "Brother Bach, why are you here?" Trung Track Thin was startled and hurriedly pulled me aside. "This trash company. Don't be foolish and join. It's overtime all day and night." While speaking, a balding fat guy aggressively rushed over. That was Tang Hao Nian, Deep Tu Hien's boyfriend. "Are you a newcomer? Just got here and already dared to bully Tu Hien?" He pointed at my nose and yelled, "Scum like you, get out immediately, or I'll call security to beat you and kick you out." I calmly sat down, my tone loud. "If I don't go, then what?" Tang Hao Nian sneered with anger, pointing at Trung Track Thin. "You two know each other, right? Fine. Both of you get lost together." Trung Track Thin couldn't take it anymore and pulled me, intending to leave. "Brother Bach, let's go. I don't even care to stay in this garbage place anymore." Right at this moment, the company's general manager, Liu Van Duke, came running in panicking. Tan Hao Nian immediately changed his face, flattering and running over to tattle. "Manager Liu, you came just at the right time. These two." Before he could finish his sentence, Liu Van Duke directly ignored him, walking straight in front of me and bowing 90 degrees. "Chairman Ko, I'm sorry I'm late. Do you have any instructions?" The whole office suddenly fell silent. Tang Hao Nian's expression froze, clearly shown on his face, looking like he had just swallowed a fly. As for Trung Track Thin, his mouth hung open, dazed as if he were seeing an alien. I leisurely stood up, lightly dusting the corner of my shirt, although there wasn't a speck of dust, then coldly looked at Tang Hao Nian. "Announce it. In 1 hour, convene a general meeting of all employees. It's time to clean up some trash." At the cleanup meeting, I sat in the chairman's seat, looking around the whole hall. "Everyone, from today on, I, County Bach, will be the new chairman of Kim Loan Technology. Mr. Deep Tien Than has resigned." Below the stage, thunderous applause broke out. Only Tang Hao Nian and Deep Tu Hien's faces were bloodless, looking as if they had just swallowed a basket of bitter melons. A new official taking office must have 3 fires. The first fire: I will burn away the tumors of the company. My gaze stopped on Tang Hao Nian, and I spoke in a cold voice. R&D manager Tang Hao Nian abused his power to oppress employees. This kind of person does not deserve to stay at Kim Loan Technology. Tang Hao Nian still tried to struggle and lie. "What evidence do you have?" I smiled, took out my phone, and connected the audio. The next second, the recording full of his and Deep Tuyen's arrogance rang throughout the hall. My boyfriend is the manager. I can do whatever I want. The whole hall was in an uproar. Everyone looked at them with disdainful eyes, like looking at trash. Looking straight at them, Tang Hao Nin was completely panicked. He turned angry from shame. If you're so good, then fire me. I'm not afraid. I waved my hand. Firing you would require paying compensation. I don't want to be a fool, but the company is short of security guards and janitors. I see you two fit very well. After saying that, I didn't even bother to look at them once, turning to say to Lu Van Duke, from today, appoint Trung Trak Thin as the new R&D manager. After the meeting, Trung Trak Thin chased me into the office, his face still not over the shock. Brother Bok, you really let me be the manager? I patted his shoulder. What's wrong with that? I believe in your ability. Just go ahead and do it boldly. If the sky falls, I'll handle it. Having finished settling the mess at the company, I refused the invitation to go drinking, because at home there was still a gluttonous little cat waiting for dinner. Returning home, Havu Dong naturally was like a koala bear, hanging on to me. Hubby, welcome home. I lightly pinched her nose. Wait a bit, I'll go cook for you right now. While picking up food for her, I said, wife, this July 7th, let's go register our marriage. Her small face turned bright red, and she shyly nodded. In the afternoon, I took the wife for a prenatal checkup. In the ultrasound room, the doctor looked at the screen with eyes crinkling in a smile. The fetus is developing very well. The two little ones are both very well behaved. Havu Dong and I both widened our eyes at the same time. Two of them? That's right. Congratulations. It's twins. At that moment, Havu Dong stroked her belly. A wave of happiness, surging as if it were about to overflow. I'm about to become a father. And to a pair of twins at that. I drove an ecstatic Havu Dong home. Just as I stepped through the door, the system's voice rang out in my head again. Congratulations to the host for accompanying the prenatal checkup. Reward. NDT 5 million cash has been transferred to your account. Looking at the long string of numbers in the bank app until my eyes blurred, and then looking at Havu Dong beside me, I thought to myself, this is what a winner in life looks like, right? With this money, the next step is to prepare a marriage registration day that my wife will remember for a lifetime. On July 7th at 9 a.m., I kissed my wife, who was sleeping soundly like a little pig, to wake her up. Wife, did you forget what day it is today? Havu Dong murmured drowsily. Whatever day it is, who cares? Quote, today is July 7th, the day we go to register our marriage. She immediately bounced up like a spring. Half an hour later, we were standing in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. The moment I held the red booklet in my hand and looked at the two of us smiling sweetly in the photo, I felt endless emotions. Wife, I've finally married you into my home. She pinched my cheek. Haven't I been at our home for a long time already? Just after posting the photo to show off our happiness online, my mother called, but she wasn't calling for me. She was looking for Havu Dong. After hanging up, Havu Dong flashed a mischievous smile. Hubby, Mom told me that since we're married, you have to hand over all the bank cards to your wife. Looking at her wanting to be bad but still shy appearance, I couldn't help but want to tease her a bit. All right then, let's go right now. As soon as the car stopped in front of the bank, Havu Dong got flustered. Hubby, I was just joking. You didn't take it seriously, did you? I unbuckled the seatbelt and led her out of the car. Husband's money is also your money. Let's go. In front of the service counter, I handed over the bank card and marriage certificate. I've just realized. Transfer all the money in the card to my wife. The bank staff swiped the card and their eyes almost fell out, voice trembling. Sir, may I ask? This lady is my wife. After verifying identities, the transfer transaction was successful. A few minutes later, Havu Dong looked at the long string of zeros in the phone message, her whole body dazed. Hubby. 2. NDT 20 million? I pinched her cheek. Yep, now my lifeblood is in your hands. You have to treat me well from now on. Right then, a middle-aged man in an elegant suit came rushing over, a welcoming smile on his lips. Quote, distinguished guests, please wait a moment. I am the branch manager, Lu Deng. I don't know if you two would be interested in learning about our savings packages? In the luxury VIP room, Lu Deng enthusiastically consulted us. NDT 20 million in a demand account is a waste. If you put it in a 1-year fixed deposit, the interest alone is NDT 460,000. Every year, you get that much money just sitting there. My wife beside me whispered, "Hubby, how about we deposit 10 million and keep the other 10 million for pocket money?" I gave her a kiss. My wife is so smart. After finishing the procedures, Lu Deng respectfully handed over 2 powerful black cards. "Congratulations to the both of you for becoming our bank's highest-tier customers." In the afternoon, Chu Tuan messaged saying the restaurant renovation was finished. Arriving at Kim Lon Square and seeing the magnificent interior before my eyes, I was a bit surprised. This kid has quite the taste. Definitely 5-star standard. Chu Tuan rubbed his hands and complained about being poor. "Bok, the renovation is done, but I have no money left to recruit people." Without saying a word, I transferred NDT 1 million in startup capital to him, with profits to be split 7/3 later. Chu Tuan was overjoyed and almost stood at attention to salute me. "Yes, boss." "Oh right, what is the restaurant's name?" I thought for a moment. "Let's call it Bok Vu Restaurant." Using my name and my wife's name together is perfect. On the way home, I stopped by the company for a bit. On the desk sat the resignation letters of Tang Haonian and Deep Tu Hien. I swung my pen and signed my approval immediately. These 2 tumors have finally gotten lost. The air feels much fresher. Returning home, Havudong immediately clung to me like a piece of jewelry. "Hubby, where did you just go?" I showed her the photos of the restaurant. She gasped in surprise. "Ah, so luxurious. Did you name it yet?" While tying my apron, I turned back and smiled. "It's called Bok Vu Restaurant, honey." She was stunned for a moment, and then her face turned beet red all the way to her ears as she buried her head in my chest. "Hubby, you're so good." Looking at the easily embarrassed wife in my arms, I felt that this was what life is truly meant to be. In the evening, Havudong leaned against me binge-watching a movie while I held a tablet checking company reports. "Hubby, what are you watching?" "The daily operation reports of Kim Lon Technology." She looked bewildered. "You've gone to work for this company?" I pinched her nose. "Where did your mind go?" "I am the chairman, and you are the chairman's lady." Looking at the unbelievable expression on that small face, I couldn't help but laugh. Having such an innocent wife is also a joy. Just as Havudong left, she got a call. Her best friend, Lu Vu Han, wanted to come over to hang out and eat, saying it was to celebrate our marriage registration. Since the wife's best friend was coming, of course I had to be the one to go into the kitchen. At the dining table, Lu Vu Han mentioned a secret I never knew. "Dong Dong, you just registered your marriage, and you're even pregnant. If Senior Dang Tuan Ngia finds out about this, his heart will surely break." Hearing this name, Havudong pursed her lips. I've rejected him many times already. Moreover, I love County Bok very much. After seeing Lu Vu Han off, I pulled Havudong into my arms. "Confess now, what's with that Senior Dang?" "Why have I never heard you mention him?" Havudong said nonchalantly. "Didn't my friend make it clear already? He used to pursue me, but I've liked you since freshman year." HMPH, I don't believe you unless... Just as I was about to lean down to kiss her, the phone suddenly rang. Who was it calling at a time like this? Could it be some rival? A senior just returned to the country to cause trouble. The result, of course, wasn't any senior, but my mother telling us two to come home tomorrow for dinner. To go back to Van Hai to meet my parents tomorrow, Havudong and I went to the shopping mall to buy things. First was a visit to the jewelry store. My wife fell in love with a jade bracelet worth 100,000 yuan at first sight. "Hubby, isn't this too expensive?" I pinched her cheek. "The household money is all with you, it's up to you to decide." Then we went to buy a fishing rod for my fishing-obsessed father. I targeted a specialized auction rod for NDT 60,000. Just as I was about to pay, Havudong suddenly acted deep, looking at the owner with a pitiful face. "Sir, we really like fishing. Could you give us a little discount?" The owner was moved by her and reduced the price by NDT 10,000. Looking at my wife's triumphant expression, I secretly sighed. This bargaining move is truly deadly coquettish. Tired from walking the streets, we went to eat grilled meat. While busy feeding each other to show off our happiness, an uninvited guest blocked the way. Dong Tuangia, the legendary senior who had pursued Havudong for 4 years. Dressed in full designer brands and holding a bottle of perfume. "From abroad for you. I don't like it. Keep it for yourself." Havudong's gaze turned icy instantly. Dang Tuan Gia got flustered and pointed at my nose. Look, I pursued you for 4 years. Yet you married this white-faced guy? You should go wash your face to wake up, husband. My husband is 10,000 times better than you. Hubby, let's go. Humiliated in front of the crowd, Dang Tuan Gia turned angry from shame, and actually intended to sneak attack me from behind. I didn't even bother to turn around. I swung my arm and threw him over my shoulder. Looking at Dang Tuan Gia groaning on the ground, I sneered. Playing sneak attacks, truly a piece of trash. My wife was so scared she touched me all over to check. Hubby, are you okay? I'm fine. I could handle a dozen of this type easily. In the evening at home, the wife went to shower but forgot to bring her pajamas. The bathroom door opened a crack, and a small, fair hand reached out. Hubby, help me get my pajamas! I smiled wickedly and passed the pajamas over, taking the opportunity to grip that small hand without letting go. Water resources are so precious. How about we shower together to save some? She blushed, pulled her hand back, and slammed the door with a thud. Go shower separately! Halfway through my shower, I found my towel had disappeared. Wife, where did my towel go? Outside, it was dead silent. Early the next morning, I drove Havudong straight back to the old hometown in Manhwa City. Just as we reached the front door, Havudong was so nervous, her palms were wet with sweat. As soon as the door opened, my mother, Truong Thuklan, completely ignored me and grabbed Havudong's hand. Oh my daughter-in-law, finally you've come home. My mother's mouth was smiling as bright as a flower. I had to accept my fate as a porter. Havudong took out the 100,000 yuan jade bracelet. Mom, this is a gift we brought for you. Don't go spending wastefully like that. My mother said not to waste money, but her hand put it on very quickly, her smile so wide it wouldn't close. As soon as we entered the living room, the topic of children came up. Havudong shyly lowered her head. Yes, Mom, the doctor said. I'm pregnant with twins. My mother was like she had a spring under her butt, jumping up instantly. What? Twins? Seeing the 3 words, twin pregnancy, clearly on the exam slip, my mother was so moved her hand shook as she gripped her daughter-in-law's hand and murmured, Twins are good, twins are wonderful. At this time, my father, Ko Tran Kwok, came home from work looking exhausted. Seeing the NDT 60,000 specialized fishing rod his daughter-in-law gave him, his eyes lit up and his fatigue vanished in an instant. Then, seeing the prenatal exam slip, my father smiled joyfully, ran into the kitchen, and gave me a slap. Good heavens, you rascal! In one shot, you become a father of 2 grandchildren. The father, who was originally too tired to move, suddenly became enthusiastic about helping me cook. At the dining table, Mom was crazily piling food for Havudong until it was as high as a mountain. My wife looked at me with a plea for help. I had to silently play the role of the food waste processor. Before finishing, I suggested going back to the old school for a stroll. Havudong naturally agreed with both hands. At the school gate, the security guard recognized me immediately. Oh, isn't that little Bach bringing your wife to visit the school? Yes, sir. He opened the gate, laughing heartily. Little Bach, you're a celebrity to your husband. Havudong was curious. A celebrity, hubby? Were you very famous back then? I smiled mysteriously. You'll know as soon as we go inside. Walking through the campus of a school that produces top scholars, Havudong suddenly stopped in front of the golden board, honoring university exams. She stared at a photo on it, her eyes growing wider and wider. County Bach, 2020 top scholar of the natural sciences block in Manhwa City. 687 points. She turned to look at me with full admiration. Hubby, you were the top scholar of the natural sciences block. Why did you never tell me? I pretended to be calm and shrugged. Quote, your husband has always lived a private life. I intended to reach out and pinch her cheek, but she dodged. While we were talking, someone approached. It was Teacher Cao, the former head teacher. Teacher Cao, long time no see. Teacher looked at me, and then at Havudong, smiling until his mouth wouldn't close. Little Bach, you have a good eye. Your wife is very beautiful. Then Teacher Cao started uncovering old stories. You kids don't know, but little Bach back then was a total bookworm. So many girls pursued him, but he didn't even care. He only knew how to bury his head in books, but those girls truly weren't as pretty as you. After saying goodbye to the teacher, Havudong looked at me with a suspicious face. A bookworm? Ah, a bookworm who hugs me affectionately all day like this? A bookworm who is such a rogue like this? I smiled wickedly and leaned close to her ear. That's because I'm only a rogue with you. Just after showing off at school, I led Dong to a small pink electric scooter. My wife's face was bewildered. Hubby, we're going on this. I gave her a pink helmet. That's right. Going on this to enjoy the breeze is the best. I'll take you to the seaside. Dong didn't look down on it. Instead, she was very happy, her long legs stepping over to sit on the back seat, hugging my waist tight as we set off. A chairman with assets of tens of millions riding an electric scooter carrying his school beauty wife to the beach. The scene alone is quite interesting to think about. At night, at the seaside, the moonlight stretched across the water, beautiful as a painting. Dong excitedly pulled me to take selfies, then walked barefoot in the water for a while. She suddenly stood still, blinking her large round eyes at me. Hubby, I can't walk anymore. I saw through her little thoughts in a heartbeat, and intentionally teased. Can't walk anymore? Then let's go home. She pouted. Going home, I also can't walk. I smiled helplessly and crouched down in front of her. Come on up, my queen. She was happy as a child, jumping hard onto my back. I intentionally pretended I couldn't carry the weight. The result was a sharp pain immediately coming from my shoulder. Wife, are you part dog? She laughed triumphantly, then pressed her face against my back and asked softly, Hubby, am I heavy? Yesterday I weighed myself and saw I gained a kilo. Here was the fatal question. My survival instinct kicked in. Quote, not heavy. In your belly you have two little darlings too. Being a bit plump is normal. Even if you can't get thin again, I will eat to get fat with you. We'll be a pair of fat and just right together. As soon as I finished, my right cheek was kissed hard. I couldn't let myself lose out. After putting her down, I turned and pulled her into my arms. Just now you secretly kissed me. There has to be give and take. I have to kiss you back. Under the moonlight, amidst the sound of waves, I locked those small lips that were about to argue. Arriving home and finishing showering, lying on the bed, Dong snuggled into my arms and became very quiet. Wife, why do you like the sea so much? She lowered her eyes, her voice a bit choked up. Because when he was alive, Dad promised to take me to see the sea. Unfortunately, it turned out it was because of this. I felt pained and hugged her tighter, stroking her long hair. Quote, Wife, in the future, I will take you to see all the seas. I looked into her eyes and said seriously, our wedding photos will also be taken at the seaside, okay? She looked up, eyes sparkling with tears, and nodded firmly. The next day, I took Dong to check in at the aquarium world. In the undersea tunnel with magical blue light, it looked quite romantic. The result was a shark darting past. Dong was terrified and clung to my arm like an octopus. Hubby, why don't sharks eat the other sea creatures? I laughed and explained. Because here, they get room and board. They can't be hungry. She got excited again and insisted on going to see the shark house, even arrogantly tilting her chin. What's there to be afraid of? Who would have thought as soon as we went in and saw some white sharks and gray sharks? Though her mouth said she wasn't afraid, her body was shaking like a leaf, clinging to me and refusing to let go. This fear of the deep sea truly can only be cured by a husband. Arriving home, my mother was very enthusiastic. My heart skipped a beat. If Mom goes into the kitchen, will it even be edible? I sneakily entered the kitchen. Exactly. It turned out my father had arrived. The head chef had arrived and was standing beside her giving dedicated instructions. The case was solved. For the daughter-in-law, the two of them were truly giving their all. When the food was served, I tried a piece of rib like a poison tester. The taste actually turned out quite good. My mother was full of pride. She picked up a rib for Dong. Dong, try it! My wife ate a piece and then smiled super sweetly. It's very delicious. It seems in this house, the daughter-in-law's status is number one. In the afternoon, after packing luggage, the whole family prepared to go to the countryside to visit the paternal grandparents. During the afternoon nap, the person in my arms was tossing and turning. I hugged her. Wife, are you feeling nervous? She snuggled into my arms and whispered, yes. I lightly kissed her forehead. Don't worry too much, my grandparents are very easygoing. Plus, you're carrying twins. They'll be more than happy. She looked up, eyes full of worry. So, do grandparents favor boys over girls? What if I give birth to 2 girls? It turns out she was worried about this. I patiently coaxed her. My grandfather might have a bit of old-fashioned thinking, but my grandmother definitely doesn't. She extremely likes girls. And who knows, maybe it'll be a dragon and phoenix pair. Finally, she smiled. How could it be that perfect? Looking at her falling into a peaceful sleep, I secretly laughed. Silly. Whether it's a boy or a girl is decided by the husband. I can't blame you. After the afternoon break, the whole family prepared to go back to the village in Shanvan Mountain. 2 cars, one after another, entered a separate villa in the countryside. Grandparents were already standing at the door looking out until their eyes were tired. My parents just got out of the car and called out, "Mom! Dad!" Grandmother didn't even bother to look at them once, walking straight past them to peer into my car. Where is my granddaughter-in-law? Why don't I see her? This was it. The biological son and biological grandson were all like grass. The new granddaughter-in-law was the treasure. After I parked the car, I turned back to look at Havu Dong in the back seat. She had fallen asleep at some unknown point, looking like an obedient little cat. I lightly tapped her. "Wife, wake up! We've arrived home!" She rubbed her still sleepy eyes and drowsily replied with an, "Oh, we're here?" Havu Dong drowsily opened her eyes. What hit her eyes was a 5-story villa reaching for the sky. Her whole person was stunned. "Didn't you say we were going back to the rural countryside? This is clearly going back to a castle in a paradise." I led a still dazed Havu Dong out of the car. Grandparents had already welcomed us warmly. Grandfather's spirit was still very sharp. As soon as he opened his mouth, he laughed. "Bach, you've gotten fat lately." As for grandmother, her face was full of kindness, her gaze immediately locking onto the wife standing behind me. "Grandma, this is your granddaughter-in-law." Havu Dong hurriedly took out the functional food she had prepared. "Grandparents, this is a little gift we prepared for the first meeting." Grandmother said just coming was enough, but her hands kept gripping her granddaughter-in-law's hands without letting go, leading her straight into the house. Entering the main hall, looking throughout the room full of rosewood furniture and luxury decoration, my wife became even more shy, like an elementary school student. Quote, "Sit down, child." Not long after, grandmother's gaze stopped on my wife's belly as she asked impatiently, "How many weeks has it been?" Havu Dong shyly replied, "Yes, it's been 14 weeks already." I launched the final move at the right time. "Grandma, the doctor said it's twins!" "Twins?" Grandmother's eyes lit up. Grandfather hurriedly scurried into the room and took out 2 pairs of reading glasses. Grandmother put on the glasses and looked at the prenatal report, looking over and over. When she saw the 3 words, twin pregnancy, grandmother's eyes turned red as she moved and gripped grandfather's hand, murmuring, "Too good! Too good, old man!" Grandfather also smiled until his mouth wouldn't close. Quote, "Old lady, quickly go cook. The granddaughter-in-law must be hungry." Looking at the 2 elderly people happy like children, Havu Dong finally felt more at ease, a happy smile radiant on her face. For dinner, grandmother was like a food-serving machine, continuously piling food for Havu Dong until it was squared up like a small mountain. "Eat up, granddaughter-in-law." Grandfather looked at his granddaughter with a satisfied smile. My wife looked at me with a plea for help. I expertly caught the amount she couldn't finish. "Give it here. Husband will handle it for you." Looking at this scene, it was like seeing the scene of my mother piling food for her before. In this house, my status truly has no chance for comparison. At night, lying on the large soft bed, Havu Dong was still marveling. "Hubby, I didn't expect your hometown to be this luxurious." I hugged her. Grandfather used to do business, so he also saved up some capital. She was curious about other relatives. I told her the oldest aunt and second uncle are in other places and only come back for Tet. That night, in the silence of the mountains and forests, we slept soundly. Early the next morning, I took my wife for a walk around the town. We accidentally ran into a neighbor, Aunt Ngo. Seeing Havu Dong looking shy, Aunt Ngo immediately started a conversation. "Little girl, you wouldn't believe it. Our little Bach here, when he was a kid." My heart tightened, and I hurriedly interrupted. Hey, Aunt Ngo. "Auntie, please don't mention my childhood stories in front of my wife, okay?" As it turned out, my wife loved gossip. "Let Aunt Ngo keep talking, honey." So Aunt Ngo immediately turned on expose mode. Don't look at little Bok now, looking all grown up like this. When he was little, he was the king of crybabies. If anything didn't go his way, he'd start bawling right away. Havu Dong burst out laughing, looking at me with eyes full of teasing. Hubby, so it turns out you cried that much as a kid? My face turned bright red. A hero doesn't bring up the past. I quickly pulled my wife away from that scene of social death, arriving at Uncle Deep's bakery. Uncle Deep was making cakes. Seeing me, he laughed. You little rascal, you haven't been back in forever. Craving Van Son cakes again, aren't you? I grinned and pulled Havu Dong closer. Uncle Deep, this time I brought my wife here to taste your skills. Uncle Deep was overjoyed to hear that. Your wife is so beautiful. Wait a moment. I'll personally make 2 portions and gift you 2 some freshly baked Van Son cakes. The cakes were soft and sweet without being greasy. Havu Dong took a bite, and her eyes lit up. So delicious! Uncle Deep looked at us and smiled. Little Bok used to come here to freeload all the time as a kid. Now he's grown and knows how to bring a wife back. After eating the cakes, we walked out toward a small stream. Looking at the crystal clear water, I couldn't help but exclaim, back in the day during the hot summers, I used to skinny dip right here. Havu Dong blushed. Truly shameless. Returning home, grandmother immediately pulled Havu Dong away to rest. I intended to let my wife sleep a bit more, so I stepped lightly and went out with Dad and grandfather. Only Havu Dong and grandmother were left in the house. As soon as I left, grandmother hugged a thick album and sat down next to Havu Dong. Grandma, what is this? Grandmother smiled mysteriously. These are photos of Kobok as a kid. It was all over. Aunt Enjo only used words, but grandmother was about to release the, quote, ironclad evidence. While I was out fishing with Dad, grandmother had already pulled out my limited edition Dark History album. Havu Dong opened it to look. Good heavens, full month photos, silly smiling photos, and even photos of me running around the house naked. Grandmother added from the side. He was very naughty as a kid and used to wet the bed too. There went my lifelong reputation. But that wasn't even the most fatal thing. My wife flipped to a page with a photo of me holding a little girl's hand, smiling very brightly. The next few photos all featured that girl. Havu Dong's radar immediately went off. Grandma, who is this? Their relationship must have been very good, right? By the hydroelectric lake, the fishing competition of our 3 generations began. Grandfather and Dad were full of confidence. Today, whoever catches more wins. Half an hour later, I was the first to catch a fish. A large perch weighing over 1.5 kilos. Grandfather followed closely, catching a grass carp. Only Dad's bucket was cleaner than his face. Seeing the sun about to set, I was in a hurry to get home to hug my wife. Dad, how about I share a fish with you, and then we call it a draw? My father's face was full of stubbornness. No way. Wait a bit longer. Just as Dad was about to give up, his fishing rod suddenly became heavy, almost pulling him into the water. It's here! A big fish! My father couldn't hold it alone, so he called me for help. The 2 of us put in so much effort, and grandfather brought the net out to support. Finally, we brought a large carp weighing over 4 kilos ashore. My father immediately lifted his head in pride. I told you there were big fish. This time I win. Dad laboriously hugged the slippery carp, smiling so much his face was full of wrinkles. Son, quickly take a picture of me with this big thing. I held up the phone, and just as I finished focusing, splash! The carp gave its tail a powerful flick, slipped from Dad's hands, and dove straight into the water and vanished. Dad remained in the fish-hugging pose, his smile frozen on his face, so frustrated he was about to cry. I pressed the shutter. I didn't catch the fish, but Dad's expression of questioning life was definitely 100 times more spectacular than the fish. At 7 p.m., the 3 generations of our family returned with a full harvest. Grandmother smiled until her eyes were slits and asked how the results were. I held up the 1.5 kilo perch. There's an extra dish tonight. When it was Dad's turn, he was embarrassed. In the bucket, there was only a single, tragically small fish. That was because I was afraid he'd lose too much face, so I secretly shared it with him. Dad still wanted to salvage some dignity. Old lady, originally there was a 4-kilo carp, but it got away. Mom rolled her eyes and pouted. Always bragging. If you didn't catch it, you didn't catch it. Dad immediately went silent, frustrated like a 100-kilo child. After joking around, I realized Havudong didn't come out to greet us. Grandmother said, this afternoon after she finished looking at the album, she went straight to sleep. Looking at the album and went to sleep, my heart tightened. I felt that things weren't simple. I pushed the door open without turning on the light. Havudong was curled up on the bed, not sleeping soundly. I approached to look, and my heart felt like it was being squeezed. At the corners of her eyes, there were still traces of tears. Suddenly she cried out and woke up, hugging me tight. "Hubby! Don't leave me!" It turned out she had a nightmare. She dreamed I ran away with the girl in that photo. Looking at her red, teary eyes, I felt extremely pained and quickly pulled her into my arms to coax her. "Silly thing, I'm always here and going nowhere." With her looking like pear blossoms in the rain, like this, she definitely couldn't go downstairs. Otherwise the whole family would think I was bullying her and I'd be beaten to a pulp. "Wife, you just lie there obediently. I'll go make the perch dish you like to eat." I went downstairs. The fish was stewed, with the system's secret recipe, the fragrance spreading everywhere. Carrying it into the room, I fed her spoonful by spoonful. "Come on, open wide." Seeing her eat until her eyes squinted and she finally smiled, my heart felt relieved. After she was full, "Wife, I'm going downstairs to wash the dishes. While I'm at it, I'll ask Grandma what photos she showed you." Grandmother pointed toward the living room. "Just some of your childhood photos." I flipped open that complete dark history album, flipping to the middle. My hand suddenly froze on a photo. It was me as a kid and a little girl holding hands, smiling extremely brightly. The case was solved. No wonder my wife kept asking this and that and even had a nightmare. Turned out she was jealous of this childhood sweetheart. To coax the crybaby wife, I took her up to the terrace. The moonlight was beautiful. I brought out a double beanbag chair, hugged her, and we lay down together. She gave me a coquettish glare. I took out the photo that caused the storm. Pointing at the girl in the photo, I explained, "That girl lived across from us. We grew up together. She sees me as a biological younger brother, and I see her as a biological older sister. There is absolutely no relationship like what you're thinking." Havudong was stunned for a moment and whispered, "I know now." Looking at that expression of being both dewy and relieved, I couldn't help but lean down and kiss her. What misunderstanding? There is no kiss that can't solve it. If there is, then two. While the kiss was burning and hard to break away from, my wife suddenly pinched me. "We're at home. What if someone sees?" I said with full pride, "Don't worry, the door is locked." Just as I was about to continue, the door was knocked loudly. "Little Bach, Vudong, are you two upstairs? Come down and eat watermelon." Havudong was startled and jumped, her face turning bright red like a boiled shrimp. Early the next morning, there was a guest in the house. The guest arrived before I even had time to react. A woman with a tall figure and radiant aura rushed in front of me and slapped my shoulder hard. "Hey, you rotten younger brother. How have you been lately?" I grimaced in pain. "Sister Thon, take it easy." Sister Thon. That's right. This was the childhood sweetheart, Lam Uyen Thon in the photo. It's just that her style was completely different from what Havudong imagined. Seeing the person before her, who upon meeting was already getting physical with me in such a dominant way. Havudong, who had always thought she was a gentle white moonlight, was dazed. "No problem." Lam Uyen Thon laughed loudly. "Haha, accidentally used a bit too much strength." Seeing Havudong, she went from a manly woman to a fangirl. "My sister-in-law is too beautiful." Then she pulled out a thick red envelope and stuffed it for my wife. I was about to reach out for my share but was unintentionally suppressed by her. "Now women hold the financial power. Your share was also given to Vudong. In this house, my family status was officially wiped out." After chatting for a while, Lam Uyen Thon showed her true nature. "Little brother, go cook. I'm hungry." No choice. Who told me to be the one shouldering the kitchen? Work for the whole family? 40 minutes later, the table was full of food. Lam Uyen Thon ate without any regard for her image. This is truly top tier. Even better than a 5-star hotel. In the afternoon, we split into two groups. Dad swore to avenge the past. There was no other way. I could only drive him to the hydroelectric lake. Dad insisted on going to yesterday's spot. 3 hours passed. I had already caught several fish, but Dad's side was still as silent as the sea-fixing needle. Just when everyone thought he'd return empty-handed again, Dad's rod suddenly curved sharply. "It's here!" Dad screamed in excitement. I hurriedly helped. After a struggle, a large fish came out of the water. At that moment, the air seemed to freeze. This size, this color. It turned out to be the exact same large carp that got away yesterday. Dad threw the fish into the bucket, his back suddenly straightening up. I didn't expect to catch it today. Good for you. You really do weigh 4 kilos. The probability of losing it and then finding it like this was lower than winning the lottery. Dad could brag about this for a lifetime. On the other side, my wife went to Lam Ian Than's house as a guest. When two women gather, the topic naturally couldn't stay away from me. Lam Ian Than acted mysterious and said to Ha Wudong, "Wudong, let me tell you. Although County Bok has thick skin, he has a fatal weakness." Quote, "What weakness?" Late at night, arriving home, as soon as Dad entered the door, he laughed like a flower and rushed to hug Mom. "Wife, Dad caught that fish from yesterday. It weighs 8 kilos. Mom pushed Dad away with a face full of disgust. "Did you take the wrong medicine? The kids are still here." By the time she saw the huge carp in the bucket, Mom was also stunned. "This big? You didn't go to the market to buy it, did you?" I hurriedly testified, "Mom, Dad really caught it. The rod daughter-in-law gave him has done a great deed." Dad was incredibly proud, his tail about to wag to the sky. Right after, Dad swung his arm. "Son, go prepare the fish. Tonight we add a dish. Dad has to show off a bit." All the heavy work was mine. But I was willing. After all, my wife was waiting, tasting the 5-star chef skills unleashed at full power. An 8-kilo carp, processed perfectly by me. Sweet and sour carp to stimulate the appetite, braised carp, full of flavor, and fish head soup that was sweet and clear. Eating it with rice was top tier. I picked up a piece of the softest sweet and sour fish and fed it to Ha Wudong. "Wife, taste my skills." Ha Wudong squinted and laughed happily. "It's delicious." While eating, mother-in-law Hoang the Phuong called. Ha Wudong said a few words and then handed the phone to Mom. "Mom, Mother wants to talk to you for a few words." Mom wiped her hands and took the phone, immediately becoming gentle and dignified. "Hello, fellow parent? Still well? I am Thuk Lan. Yes, finally getting to meet you. I'm truly happy." The two mothers chatted very happily. In a few words, it was settled. This Saturday they would go to Tintui City to visit her home. I listened from the side, feeling secretly joyful. It seems this son-in-law is finally about to be officially debuted. Late at night, after showering and lying on the bed, Ha Wudong suddenly laughed mischievously and leaned close. "Hubby, are you afraid of ghosts?" My heart skipped a beat. Surely that gossip Lam Uyen Than ratted me out. But I had to be stubborn. "What are you joking about? Your husband fears neither heaven nor earth. How could I be afraid of ghosts?" Ha Wudong put her phone right in front of my eyes. "Then watch this." On the screen, a ghost face with loose hair suddenly appeared, accompanied by a mournful scream. "Holy!" I was startled, almost jumping out of bed. Ha Wudong laughed so hard she cried. "And you said you weren't afraid. Hubby, your scaredy cat look just now was so cute." Looking at her, shaking with laughter on the bed, I finally reacted. I'd been tricked. "Wife, you've learned to be bad, haven't you?" Ha Wudong tried to run, but I caught her and locked her in my arms. "I was wrong! I was wrong! I won't laugh anymore." After staying in the country for a few days, we prepared to head back to the city. Grandmother stuffed all sorts of local specialties, chickens and ducks, into my trunk. No matter how Mom advised, it didn't work. While stuffing, she reminded us, "When you get back up there, remember to nourish the granddaughter-in-law well." Looking at the trunk full of gifts, it was all love. On the highway, Ha Wudong and I were both curious how Dad would react when he saw the secret gift back home. As it turned out, Dad's reaction far exceeded our expectations. Just as we reached the parking lot, Dad angrily called management. "Hello, management? My parking spot has been taken. Quickly notify the car owner to move immediately." Ha Wudong and I were beside him, clutching our stomachs and laughing secretly. Seeing us, Dad got even angrier. "I don't know who is so inconsiderate. There are so many empty spots nearby. And they had to take mine." I helplessly walked over. "Dad, I know whose car this is. Are you angry?" "I don't care whose it is, even if it's a luxury car. Tell them to move now." I placed the car key in Dad's hand. "Dad, this is the gift Wudong chose for you before we left. A Baolu CGC8, the highest spec version." Dad was stunned and pressed the unlock button. The car lights flashed, and the luxury car door slowly opened. 1 second he was fuming with anger. The next second, Dad was smiling like a flower, impatiently sitting inside, touching here and there. Touching it like this? Son, why did you do this? While Dad was being incredibly proud, the management staff came running, out of breath. Who said the parking spot was taken? Dad sat in the driver's seat, flashing a smile that was both awkward and polite. It was me. The management staff looked at Dad like he was a fool. Plus Dad's U-turn behavior, this reversing the situation scene was peak. At the dinner table, Dad was smiling all the way to his ears. His anger had completely vanished. "Oh right, old man, are you okay?" Just kept smiling like that. Dad had a face full of arrogance. "My son bought me that Baolu CCC 8 over NDT 1 million. How could I not be happy?" Mom heard and knit her brows. "Son, even if you're making money, this is too expensive." I hurriedly interrupted and smiled, looking toward Ha Wudong. "Mom, it was Wudong who suggested buying the car for our family. She said Dad's car should have been changed long ago." Sure enough, Mom's expression changed instantly. She picked up a huge piece of fish for Ha Wudong. "It's still my daughter-in-law who is sensible. Here, eat more, child." Just after eating, I was invited out for barbecue by Chu Toan. "Bak, you just got here. You have to eat some pig kidneys to nourish yourself well." His eyes were like they wanted to dig deep. He had something to say. "Your wife is still waiting for you at home." It turned out Chu Toan called me out because of an important piece of information. "Bak, Truong Tuesday Yin is about to return to the country. Back then she pursued you for 3 whole years. A rich young lady pursued me?" I shrugged. "I have nothing to do with her. My heart right now only has my wife and kids at home." Returning home near 11 p.m., I pushed the door open and saw Ha Wudong. So sleepy she couldn't open her eyes, but still trying to wait. "Wait. Hubby? You're back?" My heart felt warm. I climbed into bed and hugged her. "If you're sleepy, just sleep first." Ha Wudong snuggled into my arms. "No, I want to hug you to sleep." Looking at her profile while she was fast asleep, I felt that no rich young lady was as precious as the person before me. Early the next morning, the whole family set out for Tintala City to meet the mother-in-law. Mom prepared another pile of gifts, as if she wanted to clear out the whole house and take it along. After an hour and a half, we arrived, heading straight to the high-end restaurant the mother-in-law had booked. The elevator door opened, and a middle-aged woman with an elegant aura who had been waiting for a long time greeted us. Mother-in-law Huang. The Huang welcomed us warmly, taking my mother's hand. "Fellow parent, finally we meet." My mother, Truong Thuk Lan, showed that she was extremely good at socializing, gripping the mother-in-law's hand without letting go. "That's right, finally met you. I am truly very happy." The mother-in-law was still being polite. "You're too kind." My mother swung her hand. "A small gift but much heart, please accept it." Opening the gift boxes to see, all genuine high-value items. The smile on the mother-in-law's face grew even more radiant. During the feast, the two mothers talked very well together, almost becoming sworn sisters. The wedding for me and Ha Wudong was also put on the agenda. Ha Wudong was in a sensitive period, so she always felt like she didn't have enough sleep, so she went to the restroom next to the restaurant to rest. I intended to go with her, but this time, my younger sister, County Tutu, who was on break, insisted on following along. Right now, being bored, she kept pulling my arm to take her to play. I thought for a bit. The house bought in Tin Thui City earlier was also about finished with renovations. Seeing the sister's reaction to a luxury villa would probably be interesting. So I told her, "Sister, let me take you to a place." Kotutu looked at me warily. "This look on your face isn't right. You aren't planning to sell me off, are you?" "You'll know when we get there." "Afraid to go?" "If we're going, we're going!" This girl truly couldn't stand being challenged. I took her to the HOA garden area, Building A, room 1201. Pushing the door and walking in. What hit the eyes was a majestic landscape wall painting, a main color tone of early red along with exquisitely carved wooden curtains, and a marble floor that was extremely expensive, making County Tutu's mouth drop so wide she could swallow an egg. She ran excitedly all over the house. "Big brother! When did you buy this? The new house is too cool." She pointed at the room with the best light. "I want this room," I smiled indulgently. "Okay, saved for you." After that display, I drove County Tutu away, but I didn't notice that in a hidden corner, a pair of eyes was staring at us. Tran Din Din held her phone, watching me wait for a young girl to leave, the corner of her mouth curling into a cold smile. Good heavens, I didn't expect you to betray Dong Dong so quickly. She quickly pressed the send button, sending that photo to Ha Wudong along with the sentence, "Dong Dong, it's terrible. Your husband is taking another woman home." The attached photo was of the backs of me and County Tutu. Ha Wudong burst out laughing and sent a message back. "Din Din, you're mistaken. That's Kobok's biological younger sister." I think at that moment, Tran Din Din's face was surely more spectacular than someone who had swallowed a fly. In the afternoon, I took Dad and Mom to see the new house. The two elders were extremely satisfied. Dinner was prepared by my mother and mother-in-law together. Finally, I didn't have to go into the kitchen. Thank the heavens. When it was time to leave, the mother-in-law gripped our hands, reluctant to let go. Ha Wudong hugged her mother coquettishly, promising to come stay once the new house was finished. Looking at the two families in harmony, perhaps this is the true meaning of marriage. Returning to Van Hai City, just after lying down on the bed, the system that had been missing for a long time finally appeared. Congratulations on facilitating the meeting of the two families. Reward: NDT 20 million cash has been transferred to your account. Good heavens, NDT 20 million. This huge reward came at just the right time. It didn't stop there. The prize wheel had also updated. Lamborghini yacht. Heart of the ocean. Looking at the deep blue sapphire necklace sparkling on my hand, the corner of my mouth couldn't stop twitching. Receiving NDT 20 million cash plus a necklace. Perfect. Wife, are you ready to receive a new gift? Just after lying down, the system gave me a big surprise. NDT 20 million cash and a Heart of the Ocean necklace worth NDT 5 million. This system is pretty useful. I was joyfully calculating how to spend it when I suddenly felt a pain in my cheek. My wife beside me was pouting. "What are you thinking about? Not even paying attention to me." I turned to hug her. "I was thinking about our wedding photos. Let's go try on wedding dresses tomorrow." Her eyes brightened. "Yes!" Early the next morning, the jewelry store called, saying the NDT 5 million necklace had arrived. After breakfast, I drove my wife out. "Hubby, aren't we going to try on dresses?" Seeing the car stop at the Van Haichijia real estate office, Ha Wudong was bewildered. I leaned in close and smiled wickedly. Buying a small item first. I looked at the giant real estate advertisement and didn't know what to say. A house is a small item? I took the opportunity to steal a kiss on her cheek. Quote, "Wife likes looking at the sea, so let's buy a seaside unit." Seeing my face approach, she shyly pushed me away. I opened the car door and ran off. The rogue! Inside the office, the saleswoman recommended a penthouse unit, but I wasn't very satisfied. Just as I was about to leave, I ran into an acquaintance. "Bach, why are you here?" It was a close friend who was a real estate broker, Huang Hongkai. Wang Hongkai was delighted. "Bach, if you're buying a house, just come to me. Most of the seaside units here are sold out." He paused for a moment, half joking as he pointed to the model in the center. "Right now, there's only the most VIP villa left. Price: NDT 20 million. Too expensive. Take me to see it." Wang Hongkai was stunned. "Bach, you're serious? It's NDT 20 million. I smiled calmly. Just looking doesn't cost anything. Arriving for a physical viewing, this villa was truly top-notch. 3 floors above ground, 2 basements, an area of 300 square meters plus 400 square meters of garden. Standing on the balcony looking at the ocean with surging waves, Ha Wudong closed her eyes, feeling the sea breeze with a face full of enchantment. "It's so beautiful, honey. As long as the wife likes it, it's all worth it." I turned to look at Huang Hongkai, who was still standing there dazed, and said softly, "Hongkai, this unit. I'll buy it." Wang Hongkai's eyes rolled back. "Buying it for real? No joking?" I took out the bank card, swiped the card, pay it all at once. Looking at my friend's expression of questioning life, I felt secretly joyful. After finishing the house business, I drove straight to Royal Goldsmiths to pick up the NDT 5 million necklace. Just after parking, I unbuckled my seatbelt and prepared to lean over for a kiss. Ha Wudong had already predicted my intent. She unbuckled her seatbelt, opened the door, and ran off. This girl is really smart now. Entering the store, I wanted to meet store manager Truong Haitan. An employee went inside to report. "President Truong, There's a young man outside looking for you. Truong Hai-tan was lounging with his legs crossed, sipping Longjing tea, not even bothering to lift his head. What do these brats want with me? Not interested. The employee added. He said his surname is Ko. Truong Hai-tan spat out his tea and jumped up like a spring. Holy, the god of wealth has arrived. My wife and I were preparing to leave when Truong Hai-tan, out of breath, came running after us. Mr. Ko, please wait. Inside the office, he respectfully brought out an exquisite gift box. Mr. Ko, here is your heart of the ocean. The moment the box was opened, the brilliant blue light almost blinded the eyes. The blue sapphire was extremely rare, carved into a star shape surrounded by a ring of diamond fragments, sparkling like starlight in the heart of the ocean. Does wife like it? Seeing the look of surprise, mixed with joy on Ha Wudong's face, I knew this NDT 5 million spent was truly worth it. Just as I was about to put on the necklace, let's go for the heart of the ocean at NDT 5 million. Then, glancing around, I saw a pair of sapphire earrings in the glass cabinet. President Truong, what is the name of this pair? Truong Hai-tan's eyes lit up. Mr. Ko, you certainly have a keen eye. This is our latest masterpiece. Ocean Attraction. It hasn't been officially released for sale yet. The expected price is NDT 3 million. Not for sale yet. It's just that the price isn't high enough, right? I interrupted immediately. I'll pay an extra NDT 500,000. Will you sell it? Truong Hai-tan was stunned for a moment, seemingly calculating. Ha Wudong beside me was also very happy. She gripped my hand and whispered coquettishly, Hubby, there's really no need to buy these things. I turned and smiled at her. Just listen to me. Seeing this situation, Truong Hai-tan was afraid my wife would spoil the deal and hurriedly shouted, S. Old! Closing it immediately! In less than a minute, this pair of earrings worth NDT 500,000 was packaged. On the way home, Ha Wudong sat in the passenger seat with both hands clutching the bag. Her whole body tense, her eyes as alert as a startled fawn. It made sense. The necklace was 5 million, and the earrings were 500,000. This bag is worth NDT 500,000, she murmured. Hubby, this bag is more expensive than me. Even if I were sold, I couldn't pay it back. I was made to burst out laughing by her. Silly girl, you are a priceless treasure, so just rest easy, eat well, and sleep well. Ha Wudong helped me check the account. Hubby, how much money do we have left? I rubbed her head. Wife, there is only NDT 5 million left. This girl felt so bad about the money her heart was breaking, and she started muttering, I shouldn't have let you buy more. Those NDT 3 million earrings. I said we have to save to take care of the family. I pinched her small cheek and explained, that jewelry model hasn't even been released yet. My wife must be unique. When you wear it for our wedding photos, you will definitely be the most beautiful bride in the world. She was moved to tears and hugged my neck coquettishly. Hubby, you're going to spoil me. I bowed my head to kiss her lips. If you're spoiled, what can be done? I'll just have to keep serving you dinner, what else? In the evening, while the whole family was eating, I suddenly put down my chopsticks and announced a very important piece of news. Mom and Dad, tomorrow our family is moving house. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Aside from Ha Wudong, who already knew, both Mom and Dad were stunned. My mother, Truong Thuklan, frowned deeply, her chopstick stopping mid-air, looking at me in terror. Moving? Moving where? Looking at Mom's expression, she was probably thinking I had failed an investment, had to mortgage the house, and was about to lead the whole family to sleep under a bridge. The air suddenly became still. Mom hurried to her room and stuffed the bank card into my hand, her eyes already red. Son, did your investment fail? If you don't have money, just tell me. I still have a little here. I took the card in my hand, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Mom's imagination was truly second to none. Mom, Wudong hurriedly explained, quote, Mom, you misunderstood. We are moving to a new house, to change to a better environment, that's all? Mom was dazed. Better? Isn't our house like this enough? I smiled mysteriously. Everyone will know tomorrow. The next day, 2 cars aggressively entered the Van Hai Chira area. I drove straight into the villa area deep inside. Mom was in a panic behind me. You went the wrong way, son. That's the villa area. The car stopped in front of a huge ocean-facing villa. As soon as they got out of the car, Mom and Dad returned to stone. Stepping inside, There was a living room with a 7 meters high ceiling. An entire wall was floor-to-ceiling glass, capturing the full view of the beautiful sea. The kitchen was a quiet mix of European and Asian styles. This is so embarrassing. Mom was so shocked, she was speechless. Heaven, how much did this place cost? I nonchalantly carried the luggage. It wasn't expensive, only NDT 20 million. Dad immediately pulled me into a corner, his face extremely serious. Son, tell the truth, where did this money come from? To keep Dad from worrying, I just brought up that Kim Loan Technology company. It's like this, Dad. I opened a company in Van Hai, and the monthly commission is also millions of yuan. Dad immediately changed his expression and slapped my shoulder hard. I knew my son was a genius. At this point, who still doubted me? After cleaning up, Havu Dong and I went to buy steak and pasta,